Thank you, everybody, for coming. All rise, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I can make that motion.
Okay. Rich, you want a second?
Please, yes.
Okay, I just have one addition. We have a facilities request that we will have discussion and action on. And I'd like to put that right before the committee reports. Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Do we have any members? Okay, nobody on there. Okay. All right, public input and announcements. So I think all the members of the board received a letter signed by numerous parents, I assume. And I checked with some of our guests and they said, come on in.
Yeah, actually, I'll talk to Sarah. Sarah. Sorry.
That's okay. So I'm going to find it in my, let's see, where is it? Came from Sarah. I'll find it.
It was on September 29th.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, good. That's bigger, too. Okay. So we received this letter from Mill River caregivers in support of our athletics programs. Dear members of the Mill River Union School Board, we write as caregivers and community members excited by the renewed pride and energy surrounding MRUHS athletics. Our goal is to share our concerns with clarity and passion while showing the respect and hope needed to keep positive momentum moving forward. First and foremost, we want to express our enthusiastic and unwavering support for our new athletic director, Chance Fee. In a short time, Chance has brought fresh vision, organization, and a genuine care for our student athletes. His open communication and collaborative spirit have already inspired confidence among families and players alike. We are eager to partner with him and the board to realize an improved Mill River athletics experience. Our families are ready to help. Parents, caregivers, alumni, and community members stand prepared to roll up their sleeves, volunteering time, sharing expertise, and fundraising to ensure that every athlete can play, compete, and represent MRUHS with pride. Alongside this excitement, we respectfully share a few concerns. Field safety and health. With our recent drought, dust that irritates eyes and lungs, ankle-twisting holes, and sharp stones create unnecessary risk. The lack of irrigation is also troubling. MRUHS appears to be the only area school without a watering plan, and the unfinished summer field work was a missed opportunity. Hosting other schools on fields in this condition sends the wrong message about how much we value our athletes. Transportation and pregame care. Players have had to be bused hours early to away games due to busing driver shortages. Early departures and long waits before games leave players tired and dependent on parents for shade tents, food, and drinks. At a recent game, players were transported by parents so they didn't have to wait over 3 hours for a game, nor needlessly miss class time. Uniforms and equipment. New uniforms were not ready for the season start, dampening team spirit. Facilities and funding. Tight budgets continue to limit the safe, welcoming atmosphere our students deserve. Until just yesterday, broken bleachers lined our sidelines. Around the athletics area, tables are damaged and garbage often accumulates behind the school, the very spot where we greet visiting teams. This appearance doesn't reflect the pride of our athletes and families feel for MRUHS. We share these concerns not as criticism, but as an invitation to collaborate. With Chance's leadership, the dedication of MRUHS families, and the board's guidance, we are confident these challenges can be met. Together, we can create athletic programs and facilities that reflect the pride and care this community feels for its students. Thank you for your service to our school and for supporting Chance as he leads MRUHS athletes to a brighter future. We look forward to working side by side with you with appreciation, commitment, and Mill River pride, MRUHS families, and there are, I didn't count them, but numerous signatures, so we thank you for that. Okay. Is there anyone who would like to say something? Any member of the public who would like to add or? Anybody? Okay. Thank you for that. All right. Any board discussion of those comments?
I think I just want to respond as just a, so for like the history of like how we've tried in the past 3 years ago, we asked the taxpayers like as a bonus to like, hey, can you help fund some extra funding for that? And I think one of the big concerns, one of the questions I asked repeatedly when we were asking for taxpayers to pay that extra money is, what does that upkeep look like? You know, we're going to give a chunk of money. How are we going to keep supporting that push afterwards? And that basically led to the discussion of the challenges that are like with our football field, that field in particular. So like the first one is because of where the wellhead is, fertilizing is a big issue. So like actually like fertilizing the field to keep it good is a challenge. Has it been looked at as deep as it could be? I don't know. It's always, well, this is a public source of water. How it's delineated means there's a certain amount of fertilization has to go. And if you draw the measurement out, it goes all the way to basically like the outfield. The other comment that I received when we were talking about watering in the past was that in the past they have tried to water and it has kicked the well. It doesn't mean you can't have a plan to say, if we are going to irrigate, how much water would it take, and then test the well for that. So like that's something that could happen to move forward. I don't think it hasn't happened in recent years. So that's like the two of like how to maintain that field to make it look nice and why we don't necessarily have a watering plan at this very moment. That's how it was explained to me in the past. And so it was the hard part of asking for that extra money a few years ago was like, how do we keep going with that? And so I think it's possible for us, the board, to ask the administration to be like, well, can we do a well test? Can we see, granted, if you did one right now, it would be, you would probably definitely not be able to do it. But it's so like, because it's a very sandy field. So that's something that we could ask to say, okay, if it was going to be watered, how much water would it actually take to have a meaningful effect? And we can test the well, you can do tests to run simulations of that to see what happens. So that's something that could be asked for. And then that I just wanted to kind of give like the of moving forward. I'm not exactly sure of the best way to move forward to do it, but like just of the bit of history of when I've asked about why the field is in the state it's in. And the other thing that we heard out of Buildings and Grounds was they are supposed to leave that field in good condition. And at one point they had a water truck. Was it enough water truck? Was there enough being done to keep making sure they were bringing water if part of the contract was saying they'll come back with it? So those are further questions that we can ask.
Anybody else have any input?
Well, I was just thinking, one of the concerns with transportation, last meeting,
Hold on, Kim, before you go on to that, I have another comment about the water.
The water,
So
okay.
I did check with Tim Hart, who's the facilities manager, and he, his suggestion was that we need to drill a new well, that the well is not sufficient, would not be sufficient. He did get a quote of around $40,000 to drill a well and put 4 spigots, like one at each corner of the field, and then you'd use that to water. So that's, as far as the fertilizer, I don't know about that. So that's something, I see Stephen's there. That's something that you could bring to the Finance Committee, and we have a couple of meetings to look at our budget. That could be requests. This is a good time to talk about that and bring that up, because it could be included in the budget. The other second part of it, which has to do with watering somewhat, is that the surface is just sand, I guess. So Tim was going to look into getting, for Building and Grounds, a estimate of what it would cost to, I guess you have to dig down a foot and then add a foot of topsoil. And then, so, that, the whole thing won't, would be a next season at the earliest. But I know Tim is hearing, what you guys are saying, and everybody is concerned about it. So I think that's kind of, now it's on our agenda and our, we're thinking about it. Okay, Kim, to answer the transportation.
Yeah, do you want to jump in though, Ally?
Before we move on.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
That's okay, hi. I feel like, I'm not sure when this next bit of work is going to happen, but I feel like that is a process of excavation, and I'm not sure what our contract, if it's set in stone or if it's amendable, but we have to just be really sure that the wording in that contract for the people doing the work is that it's 100% athlete, sport, safe, flat, no rocks, good seating. I mean, water's just key, especially in our climate, our current, we're gonna have these times, as we always have.
Extremes,
but anyway, and so that field is a concern, but I don't want us to neglect the fact that there's like 3 or 4 other playing services that won't be within reach of maybe those 4 at that. So there's just a very broad conversation that needs to happen, that needs to be lots of ideas thrown on the table, incorporating coaches and interested parties, and and there are a lot of area schools who have also gone through this whole process recently, and so there's lots of information in the world.
Yeah,
I think.
I agree. More solutions.
Just jumping on the last thing that Ally said, I think one thing that is sort of a theme that runs through a lot of the conversations that we have on the sidelines is we feel as though we have a real base in this community of knowledge and excitement and creative thinking that I think could be tapped more. So, and I'm not really sure what that would look like, but people have a lot of knowledge and have connections and just spend a lot of time sort of talking with each other and honing these ideas that then don't make it to the people that probably, hopefully would want to hear them. So I guess that would be kind of part of us starting this is, it's kind of a question of, can you invite the community to join in more? Because you might actually like some of the stuff that we have to say and some of the ideas that we have.
So just a comment on that is just when she was inviting you to come to finance, so in the fall, we normally put on 2 or 3 meetings where we ask the community to come in and talk to us about what are things that you'd like to have funding for, and what would you like to see that's different. And we put it on, every single principal puts it out, we put it in our newsletters, we put it in our warnings, and then we get 3 people to show up. But the point is, Rick shows up and Natalie shows up, and that was the year where we started doing elementary school sports funding. We hired that person, they got a little bit more money to start doing that. Another Shrewsbury resident came in and was like, well, we'd like to see more world language, so we tried to do that. So when people show up in numbers, and actually that's how we started doing that extra line for the taxes of saying, do you want to see a sport, a one-time sport increase in the budget? So we would love, and if you have other ideas of how to communicate better, there is a community engagement committee that would love to have as many people to come and talk and have ideas. Because there are so many board meetings where we stare at each other and say, we have tried this, we've tried this, we've tried this, to get more people to input. And so anyone who has ideas of how to do that better, we would gladly hear from it.
So can I make a request, because I think I've said this to Kim. I appreciate that you feel as though you try to advertise this stuff. I don't think it's making it out to the community as well as you think it is. Like, I happen to be a person who reads Sean's weekly newsletter and like click on the link and go down through. I don't think everybody does. I would be surprised if they did. And maybe they skim it. I have come to community engagement meetings and I've been turned away with them saying, oh, we're not doing that tonight. I go, oh, okay. And then it turns out they did. Like, I want to know more. Like, I don't even know who to come to other than to harass, like, email Jody and be like, Jody, can you make this? And, you know, poor Jody is like fielding all the Shrewsbury parents because she's our contact, right? But if you guys have a way of, like, I think Kim mentioned that you're worried that you're going to flood everybody's inboxes with too much contact saying, please come, please come. Can you do more? Like, send out a board email to everybody, get every principal to send out their own individual, this meeting is happening, please come. I would love to see that because I miss it and I actually I do miss them and I do pay attention. So, and I don't know, I'm not trying to do your job, I so appreciate what you do, but I don't think that it is reaching it at the same level as you hope that it is.
Can I just then put a plug in for the Finance Committee for the Community Conversations? October 14th at 3:30, there will be emails coming out. And then October 23rd at 6 p.m.
In the library.
in the library here.
It's about,
Figured, can't let this opportunity go by without telling you that.
So, yeah, a couple of things. One is that I know that this is a community water system, so that there are limitations on what can be done on the grounds. I should divulge, I happen to work for the Agency of Natural Resources, and I'm here as a parent and a taxpayer, not in any official capacity, but I don't work in the water well division. I'm not an expert, but I'm sure there's somebody we can contact to tell us what we can and can't do. And maybe somebody has done that, but maybe they haven't, and I'd be happy to look into that, because I understand we can't put like harsh chemicals and fertilizers, but can we use compost? Can we do aeration? Like, there's probably other things we can do. And I feel like a one-time fix would be amazing, and I would be so happy to see that, but there's probably gonna have to be like maintenance too. Like, we're probably gonna have to bring in, you know, amend it every year so that it doesn't turn back into sand, because we know that like the material is just gonna, you know, wear down over time. And so I think we're gonna have to not only put like an influx of money into the field, but also like maintenance over time. I also wanted to say that I happened to, because I wasn't sure what was going on I knew something was going on, and I know that the 3-acre rule was going on, and so I was like, wait, is Mill River part of that 3-acre rule? I don't work in stormwater either, but I was curious, and so I started emailing people at the school being like, I want to see the design, like, because I, you know, was concerned about the field, and so I've seen the design, and it has very specific information on there about how that field was supposed to be left, and it was not left in that condition. And so I would like to know what the school is doing about that, because frankly, this has created a real issue. It's not only a morale issue for our athletes, but the Booster Club has lost about $2,000 per home football game that we're not going to have now to like reinvest in our athletic programs. You know, I don't even know if we're going to have senior games. Like, it's really created like, you know, some real issues like that have a ripple effect. And so, you know, I think it's worth looking into like where that went wrong and making sure it's not going to go wrong again for next season, because it's really a little bit, it's really sad to not have a home field, especially for the seniors. You know, I feel awful for them that they're not being able to play on their home field. So,
Anybody else want to, do you want to, I'm sorry, I'm just going to try and move it along.
Yeah.
I think we got it.
Yeah, and I'll go quick.
Okay, no, we have time, but I don't want us to get too far.
Well, I was just sparked listening to y'all to maybe there's something to think about of like a task force specifically around this, maybe through buildings and grounds, and we can have parent involvement of whomever is like psyched and knowledgeable about this stuff. So maybe there's something there. And then with the transportation piece, it's on the agenda tonight. We last meeting were asked for what it would look like in our budget now. if we were to be able to find funds to try to put out like a part-time extra driver position, because right now we did now have our driver positions filled, which is awesome. But we're like, maybe we still need a substitute driver in some way. And so that discussion is happening tonight. And if that happened, that would hopefully support the transportation piece that you brought up. So I just wanted to say that that discussion was coming down the line.
Does anybody else have any comments?
Yeah, if I can chime in, can
Oh,
you guys
yes,
hear me?
Stephen, hi.
Yep, we can hear you.
Yep.
I just wanted to add, first of all, to interested folks in the community that might not know this, our Buildings and Grounds Committee and our Finance Committee are made of the same group of people. So if you come to one of those committees or the other to talk about this particular grounds issue, you're communicating with both Buildings and Grounds and Finance, which is great. And I think we will definitely be asking Stan and Cheryl to show us at least a scenario of the budget that would include things about the fields. And if folks want to come to either any of the Buildings and Grounds committees or Finance committees or community finance conversations with any like specific like field amendments or aeration and those sort of things that they would that we should look at and try and price out and that sort of things, please come with those specifics. Yeah, that's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Anything else that you guys need us to address at this? So Chance is going to be next. And so you can address any of those issues, but I'm sure you came with some ideas. So welcome, Chance B., our athletic director.
Thank you.
Approve the minutes.
Oh, sorry, Chance, hang on. We didn't approve the minutes. It's usually pretty quick. Okay, motion.
If you want to get your PowerPoint
Yeah,
up, you can do that.
Get yourself set.
So moved.
Motion to approve the minutes. Rich, second. Ned, anybody have any changes? Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you. All right, and we're ready.
All right. First off, I just want to say in my 3 months of being here, I've really enjoyed being here. Being able to meet the kids and build relationships with them, the parents, the staff, administrators. Ever since I got here, it was a warm welcome, and I felt very supportive from the start. And I always told the parents that I'll have these difficult conversations with you because I want to hear your concerns, and I want to do my best to be able to do the due diligence and look for possible solutions and just be able to listen and hear them out. And I appreciate all the support that they have given me so far, and I look forward to continue building those relationships with them and even more parents who come along. So getting started. So this is our numbers for the fall, and as you see for fall athletics, we have a total of 179 kids participating in just the fall, and that's around 40% of our kids here at the school, 45% of the kids here at the school, which I think that number is amazing. You don't really get that at a lot of schools, especially at a small school. We have a lot of kids playing sports, a lot of kids being able to, we're providing a lot of kids opportunities to do more. And I believe these numbers can keep going up, and with the success that our teams are having this year, I think a lot of kids are going to be more interested in playing. I've been getting emails asking when the signups are, and they did pass already, but they're still trying to get involved. They still want to join, and I think that if we continue with this culture and continue with this, continue with the programs, that they're just going to continue to grow. We're going to get more kids involved with athletics and give kids more possibilities to go play at the next level in the college and whatever they want to do. And they have my full support of that, and I want to be able to give them those opportunities. Football, around 25 kids. We get 7 from MSJ. our boys soccer team this year, we were at 23 kids, which was great. We're just shy away from being able to do a full JV schedule and a full varsity schedule. We're hoping next year with these incoming 8th graders that we're losing 3 seniors, but I think we're gaining around 7 to 8 8th graders. So hopefully by next year we will have a full JV team and a full varsity team for our boys soccer. Same with girls soccer. We're hoping that with these incoming 8th graders, when they're 9th graders, that we're going to be able to have these 2 programs that are giving these athletes opportunities to play. Our cross-country team has gained a lot of interest from these kids. Coach Ty has been doing great with them. A lot of the kids are very, very impressed with what he's doing with them. And I think we're having the right coaches bringing them in, and we're getting tons of compliments about how these kids are performing and how they're turning out and the cultures that they're having. So next, just some highlights from the year so far. Girls soccer had a great game over at Castleton University against Polteny at the beginning of the year. We had such a great fan base turnout. The energy was great there. The girls really loved it. They spoke with the Castleton graduate assistant, Coach Erin Murphy over there, who played soccer at UVM. She was able to talk to them about her experiences, and now as a college coach, what they kind of look for in athletes. The girls loved it. We were able to ask questions and just build a rapport with her. They had a tour of the campus, got to see what it was like, their facilities, their gyms, weight rooms, locker rooms, and they got to be able to play on a great surface in front of a great crowd, in front of a great community. Same with the boys and girls at Dorsey Park. Those games were amazing. We had such great community support, great parent support. I think everyone really loved being there, especially a lot of our kids here grew up playing on that field, and we gave them an opportunity to do that again, and I think they really appreciated that, and it's something that I definitely would love to keep going in the future. Our varsity boys soccer team right now is in 4th place in their division, and at this point, after a win today, and hopefully you get a win on Friday, they'll be putting themselves in a spot to have a home playoff game here, and I think that's a lot to be excited about. Our football team's on a 2-game winning streak. They're back to 500. Got a good game coming up this Friday night. I think there's a lot of momentum in building into that game. The kids seem really excited. They love what they're doing right now. They love the culture that's being formed in that team. And everywhere we go, I get messages from coaches, from other athletic directors on our sportsmanship and how well respected we are during the games. Our kids aren't going back and forth. They're doing their jobs, they're playing the game, and they're having fun. And I think that's something to be proud of. Our middle school boys, yes, they had to get out early today. They went over to Mount Anthony. Mount Anthony was great. They accommodated us with a multi-purpose room. Our kids got their homework done before the game, and I got a message from them over there how great they acted, how respectful they were. So those are all positive things coming out. The parent support has been great. Not being able to play on our main varsity field was tough, but wow, did they do a lot for the kids. The atmosphere out there was great, with boosters bringing that tiny snack shed over, having all those banners up. It was great to see the support. The energy that their parents bring is some of the best, and I really appreciate everything that they've been doing, working with me, working with the kids, and just making it all happen out there. Academics, we pulled their students and the athletes' grades the other day. Right now, we don't have one athlete who is in jeopardy of not playing. They're all doing well in the classroom, which I think is great. I'm very committed to their academics, and I know pulling them out sometimes can hurt that, but they're doing great in the classroom, getting great comments from teachers, so I'm very proud of them about that. And even with not having a full JV game, we are finding JV opportunities. Our girls played Burton the other day, had a great game. Our boys team played Fairhaven a few weeks ago, and then they're heading up to Springfield tomorrow to have another JV game. So for the kids who aren't getting as much varsity time or playing time as we would like to have them, we're providing them with opportunities to be successful on the field and start building their skills much more than practice. They're getting game time, and they're able to be out there and play. And football JV games, we're doing the same thing with them. I think it's great being able to give the younger kids who aren't seeing as much playing time opportunities, because we want to retain them, we want to keep them playing. And I get at the end of the day going to practice every day, and then on game days standing on the sidelines isn't the best, and it's not the most fun, but that's why I want to keep providing these opportunities and finding as many teams as we can to get these JV games, whether it's 11v11 or 8v8 or 7v7. Whatever we have to do to get the kids on the field, I'm going to do. And just some photos from the game, Dorsey Park and over at Castleton. Some more highlights, we had multiple fundraising projects, the Savior cards that were handed out to all of our teams. We're in the process of getting a food drive going, the apparel stores that we had, and we had quite a few new sponsors for our banners that are going to be hung up in the gym, which I think is all great. We're bringing in some money. Matty Surfrin, he won the SVL individual group division championships. He's been playing great right now. He just finished the other day 3rd place at Division II sectionals, and now he's out of 105 kids finished in 3rd, and now he's on his way to go playing the state championship on October 7th. So that's something great to be proud of. JoJo's been doing a great job with our golf team, getting all the boys ready, and even the newcomers that we had this year, she said they're playing great. They're really building on their skills, and each time they go out there, their score is just lowering and lowering, which I'm very proud of them, and they're going out there and they're having fun, which means a lot to me. Another highlight that we have going on is with athletics and the arts. We have a great relationship with them right now between Peter and Kristen. Peter has given us some speakers that we bring out for the games that help boost that game day energy, that game day atmosphere. If it wasn't for them, we would have a tiny little speaker out there, but thanks to them, we were able to get the music going out there, get the kids fired up for their games, and just provide them with the same kind of atmosphere that they would have on the main field. We're making those accommodations because we want to be able to give them that. The new boys soccer uniforms, yes, they took some time to get in, but those kids' reactions when they saw them, when we brought the seniors out wearing them, they loved it. I thought it was great for them. We were glad that we were finally able to get them out there in them, especially because it was homecoming, showing them off. I think it's great. Early in the year, we received a check for $5,000 for our baseball program from the Dick's Sporting Goods Foundation. So that's going to go into, it can go into various different things, whether that's equipment, uniforms, anything that can go along with baseball, anything like that. The 5K can be used for that. We did put in for the T-Mobile 5G lights this year. We had a lot of success with it, a lot of shares on that post. We made it to the top 50, but unfortunately we didn't move on to the top 25. But that is a recurring fundraiser every year that T-Mobile does, and just got to keep working towards it, keep putting in for it, and with the community support, the parent support, the kids support, it's something that we can continue to grow, and hopefully one day be able to win that. We go against multiple schools all around the country. It's, I think, thousands of schools. So to make it in the top 50 in our first year, I think that shows a lot of support, and we know how we can build on it and continue to work towards it. Some obstacles that we had to overcome this year. Football, all of our games had to be played over at MSJ. It was tough, but we were still able to work it out with them over there. MSJ was a great host for us. Dan was great. Mike Audette was great. They were very supportive of what we wanted to do. Soccer, the varsity teams had to move up to the outfield of the baseball field. Like I said before, the parents were great with that, being able to provide them with a great game day atmosphere, cheer them on, and just be supportive. Transportation was an issue, but we never had to postpone or cancel a game. We never took that away from the kids, which I think we should pride ourselves on. We never took away opportunities from them, and I think that's something to be proud of. The drought was tough. I'm sure everyone had some issues with that. We worked with the local fire department, helped come water the field. Was it as much as I could have gotten? No, and I understand that. Would have liked maybe a little bit more times they came out, but it was great for them to do that. It was great to build that relationship with them and talk with them. And going into the future, I know now that we can use them a little bit more and be able to have some better relationship with them. And the environment, we created positive game days. I think all the kids enjoyed it. At times, I think there was opportunity to keep growing it like we would do. During the homecoming games, we had a lot of different activities going on out there, which attracted a lot of fans, a lot of people, and on that sidelines, it was packed. And even even at the middle school games, it was packed. It wasn't just varsity; it was both teams being supported and both teams having that same culture around them. So I think that was great to overcome, and I think we did a good job overcoming it. And I'm excited to see what we can get going for the spring, the winter, the spring, and even next fall. The future outlook for me, I'll be upfront as possible. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't come up with ideas or proposals or a whole bunch of different solutions, different quotes, all these different ideas. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't put in that research, put in that time and effort to do it. And I did want to hopefully get through my first fall, especially with homecoming, a lot going on. I did want to get through that, and now with all that being done, I'm going to be putting a lot of focus into looking at these ideas, looking at different solutions to these issues that have been brought to the board and brought to me. So I'm going to be doing that stuff. I'm going to be putting in that time and effort. I want to keep retaining our athletes. I want to keep the kids who come here from middle school, freshman year. I want to keep them here. I want to keep them at Mill River playing sports here. I think we have a great culture forming right now. And I think we can only go up from here. And I want to keep these kids here, and building a strong and winning culture will do that. And I think we're right there, and we're just going to keep going. I want to keep creating opportunities for our athletes to play at different venues, like how we did at Dorsey Park and how we did at Castleton. I want to give more teams that opportunity. I know football played at Castleton last year against Pontley. Girls soccer played there this year against Pontley. I want to now try and find different dates that we can get boys soccer there. If we had an ultimate frisbee game there, a couple of basketball games there. I want to keep doing these opportunities because I think it's fun for the kids to play at these kind of stadiums, these kind of facilities. Another thing is the youth development and skill building. With having an elementary program, I think it's amazing. I did not have anything like that when I was in high school or elementary school. And I want to build a relationship with elementary and the high school where some days or a few days we send our high school varsity teams down there to have a little play day with the elementary kids, so that when the elementary kids are now seniors in high school, they'll be like, oh, it's that full circle. I remember when I did that. They can do that with those kids, and those kids will remember when the seniors came down and played some soccer with them, some football with them, like whatever it is. I want to be able to have those relationships where when our teams are walking out to the game, the elementary school kids are high-fiving them, cheering them on. Because I think it's important at the end of the day that we do have a culture that way, and everyone's involved, and everyone feels that they are important. And I think growing these things help the kids in the area choose Mill River as their school. They want to be here. They want to be a part of it. They want to do these fun activities that we're doing. They want to play at these facilities that we're getting our kids at. They want to be involved. They want to be in a winning culture. Stuff that was brought up before, partnering with local family businesses and to support our facility needs. I've talked to a lot of parents in the last 3 months who have offered a lot of support, and I want to talk to them about that. I want to see what they are able to bring, what they can do, their opinions, their advice, because at the end of the day, I'm good with athletics, but I'm not good at doing grounds. I don't know what all that takes, so I will rely on the support from them and their knowledge about it all, because at the end of the day, I want to provide a safe place for the kids to play, and I think partnering with them and relying on them will definitely we'll be able to do a lot. And professional development for our coaches. I think our coaches have a lot of knowledge and skill, and I want to continue to grow that. I do know a lot of coaches in the area at the local colleges that have put in the time to talk to some of our coaches already. The football coaches over at Castleton sat down with Coach Allen before the season started, going over a few things, talking about like how to run the kind of offense we wanted to run, the defense. So I think having our coaches meet with them to work on those skill developments and will go a long way for our coaches, and I think our coaches will appreciate it a lot. Next is the transportation, the future solutions for that. An idea I came up with, because I know it helped at the last school I was at, was fleet vans. Coaches can drive without getting a CDL in the full way they need to drive a school bus. And that would be for 15 people max as a Class D license. So if we did get a few, like 1 or 2 15-person fleet vans, it would allow our coaches to be able to drive without having to go through that 3 to 6 month process to get their full CDL. I know that would require a lot, but it's something I definitely want to look into. And then something going forward is talking to our signers, because it's really not just us that's having transportation issues. I've talked to many ADs. They're also having transportation issues. Maybe we can talk to the assigners, be like, hey, like we are going through some issues. Maybe we can work something out where we don't have to pull the kids out as early as usual to get them for a 4 o'clock game. I think that's something worth to bring to them, and something I've spoken with other ADs about that. We do think it could be a possibility. And then just a note there, come October 1st, it does become a little difficult to push games back, especially if a school doesn't have lights, because the VPA does have a rule that come October 1st, games can't start after 5. So that does hurt us a little bit, for especially being a school that doesn't have lights. And if we are going to a school that doesn't have lights, games need to get in before 5, or at least start before 5. So that's also something we can consider going throughout this, and something to make everyone just aware of. And just if anyone had any questions, you can ask now, or my email is right there. I've always told the parents I'm going to be as open as possible with communication. Will I get back to you in 5 minutes? Maybe, maybe not. Will I do my best to get back to you? Absolutely, because I do care about your feedback. I do care about what you have to offer, and I want to be able to have a relationship with the parents, with the kids, with everyone, and just be there and be able to give my best answer at the time, but then look into it as much as possible.
Okay. Thank you, Chance. That was great. I feel really excited right now. Would anybody have any questions? Go ahead, David.
I just got a comment. It sounds like you're a gamer as a athletic director, and we appreciate that. And, some of the things that these parents brought up, I think you can fix if you haven't already. The bleachers and the trashy area, that shouldn't exist. It's pretty easy to fix. The bigger issues like the field and stuff, you're the main man. You're the guy that's working here that has your eye on that, and your constituents, well, there are constituents too, but they're close to you. And, you got to come to us, like you said in your talk, with proposals, and you should be the guy that knows the most about it, even though you kind of admitted that that isn't the area that you're strongest in. But do the best you can and communicate with finance and buildings and grounds, and to see if you can move the ball forward in that regard. And it's probably going to be a slow process, It's not going to happen in 1 year or 2 years to do the right fix. But, it sounds like you're doing the right thing and trying your best, and that's all anybody can ask.
Thank you.
Just a question about the idea of the student athlete is we want our students to be physically fit, we want our students to be good scholars, and when we get into varsity, we want them to compete at high levels.
but you also said you want everybody to compete, get out there, and I think that's great to encourage that. And given our transportation issues, I'm wondering, what do we have, or have we looked into more intramural play where we can get kids at every ability to come in and compete, here, without, outside of our varsity sports and such, just to develop more exercise, running around, less screen time, and everything else that comes good with athletics.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't had much really to do with intramurals right now, but that's definitely something I will look into going forward. I think it would be great to be able to give the kids opportunities to, like you said, less screen time, get out and have fun, and exercise. That's something I would love to do, and I do know that we did have some open gym times on like Sundays where kids can come around and do things, but now maybe making it more, less just come around and shoot around, make it more competitive, that will draw them and make it more fun for the people to come.
And I also appreciate, that may go beyond your job scope, but No,
I appreciate it. I think, like I said, I value the opinions and the ideas, and I will do everything to look into it and hopefully create that possibility.
David?
So I have a couple thoughts. First of all, I'm super impressed with everything that's going on this year. I appreciate the JV games. I appreciate all that you're doing, being out there with the scoreboards and things. That's new. It's improvement. I've talked to a number of parents on the sidelines. I have a student athlete, as I know a number of us do. And one of the concerns that comes up is there's some lack of maybe transparency in terms of how coaches are chosen. Also, I would love to know more about what sort of postseason feedback there is from parents and student athletes about the experience their children have playing for the various coaches we have. I think that having the community aware of the process with how competitive we are, or what the process is when coaches are chosen, would, I think, serve our district and our student athletes as well as our community. I think also, when coaches are successful and there's positive culture and kids are winning and kids are loving it, I think that a feedback system that's applied across the district would provide that positive feedback and inform you as to the nuts and bolts of the relationship between coaches and parents and coaches and students, players. And if things aren't going so well, it gives you insight as well to make decisions to support our athletics. So I think that that's something that, can you speak to what that is now?
My plan from when I got here, I wanted to bring in a system of player evaluations at the end of each season where they're going to be going through, and it's on a scale, and they'll rank all different categories that's been involved with athletics. So that'll be their practices, their games, transportation, coaches, culture, treatment, and it goes all the way from that to our trainers at the end of the day. I want them to be able to give me feedback on everything in athletics, and I will take that feedback from them, and with what I can do with that feedback, look into and try and do as much as possible. As per the coaches, in my first year, I didn't want to come in and clear house, especially if there's been coaches here who have been dedicated to the program and have given a lot over the last few years. I wanted to give them an opportunity, and not just, hey, it's my way or the highway. I wanted to build a relationship with them, see how things go, and just be able to build a relationship with them and understand what they're trying to do and understand from the players and how they feel. So I think those end of the year evals will go a long way and tell us a lot, and moving forward, just keep using those and keep just hearing the athletes out. I want to make the athletes feel heard. This is their home for the next 4 years, and I want to create the best possible experience for them over the next 4 years.
I appreciate that. That's a good system.
Can we have Ned go? Thank you. Ned?
I just have two comments. Most relevantly, I think that's a great idea too. I didn't have that opportunity when I was in high school, and think almost the entire senior class of my baseball team quit for our senior year because of a coach nobody liked. So being able to provide that feedback before it gets to that point where you barely can field a baseball team would be pretty awesome. Secondly, as a parent of kids just getting into elementary school, I was really excited to hear there are elementary school sports here. I didn't have that opportunity as a kid either, and I think they would love the idea of having high school athletes come and spend any amount of time with them at all. I think that would be awesome, and it'd help build that culture you're talking about.
I have one thing of just comment of like where I grew up, we had a pretty large minor league baseball team, and like we would play soccer for like if you got into a good position, you'd go play at that stadium. And it's one of those. It's like not even like the best field to play soccer on, but it was like being under the lights and that just having that experience is really enjoyable. So I really appreciate that. And then the other thing that just to comment on the fleet van thing, in the past we've tried, like I've asked to say, oh, instead of buying a new bus, can we buy 2 vans? And the response we always got was, well, actually, because you still need a CDL for that. So I would love to look into that to see what the possibilities are for that.
If it's 11 to 15 passenger, it's considered a bus essentially by the state of Vermont. So you have to have a CDL.
Yeah.
Well, we need to look into that.
But you don't need an air brake CDL. You don't need.
Well, the thing is that if you're not using it to transport kids to and from school, I think there might be different rules. So that we definitely have to look into that. And
I can send you the VisBit memo if you guys want it. It just says that all transportation is prohibited.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right here, it says
Yeah.
that too. I mean, you're right, it needs to,
Yeah.
the law needs to be changed. I mean, or the rule needs to.
Well, and VisBit is the insurance, so it could be that it's not a law, but an insurance.
They cite
is
the
a law.
statute.
Yeah, oh, it's a
It's in
statute.
GSA, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they cite
Well,
the
we
statute.
will look into that and, and then Cheryl and Chance can kind of muddle through that.
It says that use of these vans is not legally permissible for student transportation. It's explicitly said.
All right, David?
Yeah, it was brought up about added participation. It would seem like the numbers in participation go down in the winter because there is this much outdoor field activity and stuff. And so I remember in my high school days, they had intramurals. Is that an antiquated term, or do they still have intramurals, and it would be anything you would consider?
I would absolutely consider doing it. I played a lot of intramurals when I was in college, and I loved it because when I was in season, it was pretty boring just going to your lifts and stuff like that. So a lot of us did join intramurals, and we loved it. That's definitely something I would like to have here. Definitely would in the winter time. It does make things different because we have a lot of basketball games going on. So we definitely have to look through that schedule and be able to plan on dates that the gyms weren't being used. Especially with wrestling, basketball, the middle school. So we would have to definitely look around and find open dates, but absolutely interested in providing those opportunities.
It's different than when I was there. It was before Title IX.
Gotcha.
So it's a different ballgame now.
I was just, I have a question on that, so I was just gonna jump in. I was curious what is required to have like open gyms on the weekend at our elementary schools, like if that's possible, and if so, what's needed to make that happen?
I believe we would, obviously the kids wouldn't be able to be there alone. We would need probably a supervisor, or like someone to be able to supervise them.
And it's okay, you
Could
don't
that-
have to answer right now too, like if
Okay.
you wanna follow up or something.
Yeah, I would-
It's just something I know has come up before, and it would be interesting to know.
Absolutely, I will look into that.
Okay.
Super quick too, there's a lot of, along the lines of intramural and postseason chances to play sports. There are quite a few well-developed and well-established pickup type or informal type programs, as well as more structured like club teams and things and other institutions that exist that are independent of the school system. And it might be helpful to research some of those and make that information available to parents. So if they wanted their athletes to continue post-school season, that would just build their skill for the school season, but also would let them play more.
Absolutely.
So, as you build your awareness of what's available, make that available to parents, in a transparent way, knowing it's not Mill River, but it's a ways to get touches on the ball, or whatever you're doing.
So I have Corals here. I just was wondering about the unified sports program and whether you had had an opportunity to look at the different sports and.
Yes, I've had an opportunity to look into it. Our unified bowling team had a competition the other day. Was able to get them their uniforms. They were super excited about that. I know they have another one coming up pretty soon, which I'm hoping to be able to attend and support them. But I think it's great to have the unified program. That's one of the things that actually caught my eye the most when I was first looking at the position. I think it's amazing to have and be able to provide those opportunities. Little backstory, my oldest brother was born with spina bifida, so he was paralyzed from the waist down, but he's played sled hockey his entire life and has played wheelchair basketball, wheelchair lacrosse. He has done all these opportunities, and seeing the places that being able to provide sports did for him and seeing the places he was able to go. He was on Team USA's junior national team playing sled hockey when he was 18 years old. So seeing those opportunities and seeing the places it can take them, I want to keep those programs alive and keep growing those programs because I think it does a lot for them.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. I did want to note that, hold on one second. I did want to note that we do have, right, this spring, next spring, the the big gym floor is going to be
Right,
redone.
this coming summer, the main gym's floor is going to be replaced.
Yes, so that is some upkeep that we have put into the budget. Go ahead, Ally.
I just wanted to speak with regard to elementary sports, which I'm really excited for consistency to grow, and we've had a lot of turnover of the elementary athletic director, and so to have you step into the leadership, which I'm assuming you have a relationship and are developing. I know every year we've been given coaches evaluations, which is basically a lot of questions being like, how do you think you performed? And then anything else? And I'm like, blah, blah, blah. So that's where I usually unload all the as boots on the ground coaching and experiencing, the lack in this department or, ease of this organization and communication and all the things that happen on a daily dealing with elementary sports. I'm just excited to connect that so we can feel like a grade 3 through grade 12, moving on up. And like you said, get that flow and get organized.
I have another comment. I noticed Sarah Crum is here, and she's the chair of the Clarendon Recreation Committee, correct? And so, I live up in Chippenhook, and there's the ball field, and that's the Rutland Little League. Runs that field. It used to be, back in the day, that the school kind of coordinated, not the school athletics, but the community athletics. Is there any thought of, I'm assuming Shrewsbury, do you have a rec committee, and Wallingford, I know, has a rec committee?
So baseball used to be run by Long Trail. It was never run by the school that I'm aware of. So it was
Okay.
a nonprofit Long Trail baseball, and then
Okay.
it merged into Rutland County Little League.
Okay.
But I don't think it's ever been run by the school.
It was coordinated, though, with the school,
I
and I
know.
just wonder
No, I mean,
about,
my husband was the treasurer for
Yeah.
Long Trail for many years, and I don't remember the school ever being involved.
I did reach out to Chance about that, and we're gonna get together on that when he slows down a little bit in the winter. But yes, we're hoping to coordinate and have them use our fields. They're getting redone right now. Everything's up and coming, so we are gonna come back to that.
Right.
Okay,
And-
great.
and just to comment on that, one of the things that led up to us trying to fund that position for the elementary is, several meetings before that, starting in the spring, there was a few people that came in and commented on how those club teams and it was just getting more and more expensive every year. And so that was the push of well, we need to fill this gap for this group of people that can't afford to do this. So it's if we can create something in the school district,
I see.
then we can grow, then maybe we can just keep those people that maybe would be going out to play in and keep the numbers up in that. that was the dynamic that was occurring then. So
Okay.
I don't know what the dynamic is now. My kids
Okay.
are not in that.
But
I have a question. Just you're talking about using town facilities. I mean, Wallingford has a rec committee also,
So,
and pretty extensive athletic fields.
so I mean,
Schools
the
use
Mill River Athletics did use our baseball field this past spring.
it. Okay.
For a number of games as well as, I believe, practices. So I think there are some questions around like resources and how that's maintained and things like that. But I mean, I know the school is using some of the community resources, you know, as we have kids who are student athletes. But I think there's room for, you know, not in this space to discuss some of the nuts and bolts, but it is happening.
Okay.
Right.
I'm going to close this conversation, let Chance, thank you so much for coming, and thank you guys, you're welcome to stay, but thanks for being here for this discussion. I think it's been really important. We're going to talk about transportation, if anybody's excited about that, that's the next item, and then we're going on to redistricting, we'll get there in a minute. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Good night. Okay, so we're going to get a transportation update.
Yes.
From Cheryl.
So, I'm not even sure where to begin. So it's been kind of a crazy ride with transportation. I know we're not necessarily alone in this situation. Yeah, I didn't even mean that. As many of you know, we're now looking for a transportation coordinator. That position is open. It's been posted, and as of this morning, there had been no applicants. So in the interim, I've been trying to think of all kinds of different ways that we can be able to transport our students. If we have someone who takes a day off, we end up having to consolidate a route. And never mind if someone's sick, or if we had, like we had an issue where we've got two games and they're both going opposite directions, right? So that's why we're seeing students are leaving early, or we're consolidating routes. So I did reach out to First Student to ask them for a quote. They were supposed to give me a quote the last board meeting, and they were unable to get it, and now they were supposed to get it for today, and I still haven't received it. I still am waiting to see what they present to us as a possibility. I also reached out to Casella's trucking company out of sheer desperation. Like, I just called them and said, I'm not even sure what I'm asking, but like, what can we do? They did share with me that they're struggling getting drivers, and they pay a lot more than we do as well. So that kind of seemed to be a dead end. I did reach out to Marble Valley Transport, the bus in Rutland, and she's supposed to get back to me. She's unsure if they can help us or not. She said in the winter they do a lot of rides to Killington, so they might not have any drivers. If they can, she did tell me their rate is $103 per hour. So if we're talking about, she asked if I wanted it for daily transportation or just sports or field trips, and I said, I don't know. I'm just really reaching out to see what we can do. Because if they're able to do it, they might even just be able to do things for us, just the field trips or the sports. I think that would be a tremendous help. We had looked into, it was my understanding, I kind of got excited when Chance said something about the fleet vans and was hoping that I was wrong in my information. I do think, and I said this at before the personnel meeting, I really feel like we need to start advocating for the law to be changed, because the CDL situation is really it's really just stopping us from getting people to drive. We're offering to pay for someone to get their CDL, which is about $8,000, round numbers, but it's quite the investment of time as well. I mean, I actually thought about, geez, maybe I get my CDL, and then if worse comes to worse, I'll drive the kids. I asked my husband, and he said, I said, would you be interested in being a driver? And he says, of kids? I said, no, puppies. But it is like, it's a very difficult position because you're also asking someone to work a few hours in the morning and then with time off in the afternoon and a few hours in the, in the afternoon. So it's not a straight shift. I am open to any ideas. It was actually Carol's idea to call, and like anybody that tells me anything, I am going to follow up on it, so.
So I talked to we discussed this.
Yeah.
I talked to the guy who's the transportation director about the whole, and yes, I agree, I believe that we need to go on a letter writing campaign to Zoe Saunders and the governor, and, because the legislate, and see if we can get the law amended. Because it's not that law is not the same in every other state. Other states permit fleet vans. So that's sort of thing A. But I talked to him about volunteer carpooling.
Mm-hmm.
And volunteer carpooling is totally permitted and acceptable, assuming there's no more than 6 people in a car. And the people have gone through the volunteer vetting. They get fingerprinted. I mean, I really think we should consider doing a full court press. You saw all these people here. They're very concerned about this, on getting a volunteer carpool set up for athletic events.
So we did use it for one game.
Were they like official volunteers that had been like?
They were volunteer. They were parents choosing to drive their children and other children to a game. And that was truly out of our other option was we were going to cancel. And I think that's really hard for students when we cancel a game. And then that means we have to back it up to a later time and like the problem doesn't go away. So, and then without the transportation coordinator right now, Tim is doing that job as well. So he's doing both buildings and grounds and transportation. Other people have picked up the slack a bit as well, like he's doing the transportation component, but technology is now doing the phone calls out to families. Like everyone has kind of like come together. We have the 2 minivans that we drive on a regular basis. People are out there driving them. I'm talking about Rebecca's driven it. So has Debbie. I went with Debbie one time. I said, well, in case I have to go, let me find out where this is. So I do think like everyone is stepping up to the best of their ability. It's an issue though that I need, we need to resolve it. And it's not just a Vermont problem, it's actually a nationwide problem. But it doesn't matter, like we need to solve it one way or the other.
So you said that it was used for one game. How did it go? Did everybody get there?
Yes.
Okay, and home?
And home. I didn't get any complaints, so they must have been back home.
I mean, I know it doesn't fix the problem.
No, it doesn't fix the problem. Because I do wonder if parents had to change their work schedule to do it. And Chance coordinated that, and he did a great job coordinating that.
And, we can do it if we have to. Okay. And obviously, we've seen that when sometimes we have to. There are equity concerns around doing it. Oftentimes, the parents who can change their work schedules and can navigate those things. I don't know how to say this sensitively, but like we want to make sure that everybody feels included. That bus provides a certain sense of equity, whereas when kids are getting put into cars, it's often in their friend groups, and there's a greater chance that kids that might have, kids can get left out unintentionally. And so then somebody needs to know all of the social groups of that team and all of the home situations of that team
in order to ensure that no one is left out on that, and Chance is new, does not have that knowledge.
But the coach jumped in and did
In
do
that
that
case,
for
yes.
that.
Yes, for that one, yes. So it's doable, but it's a structural issue around equity on a larger scale potentially.
And
if you know what I
that's
mean.
fine, like, because that is saying the school is coordinating this movement of people
Yes.
versus, because before when we were talking about this, it was the school has to have basically, because when we were talking about it for like taking kids to school,
Yep.
it was like the school has to have no input in it whatsoever.
But if the school has no input in it whatsoever, there is the chance that certain kids get left behind.
Oh, that, I know, I'm just
Yeah.
wondering the liability of what happens when.
Yep, when the school's
Yes.
helping coordinate.
And when we
this-
become liable.
Right, because
Yep.
if you're coordinating it, then it doesn't sound like it's a volunteer program, it sounds like,
So what about having a volunteer coordinator, put it out, seeing if that would be, like you have the PTA, basically, which is, they're all volunteers, the school doesn't tell them what to do. I mean, I don't know, but I bet you there would be somebody who'd be willing to be a
So we
volunteer
can't
coordinator.
share information with parents under privacy laws that we would need to make those decisions.
So I have a question. We've talked about hiring bus driver with custodial in the middle of their day. Have we talked about hiring just morning bus drivers or afternoon bus drivers or afternoon bus drivers who then do the after-school? Have all those
Yes.
schedules
We-
been advertised?
I don't know that we advertise specifically with drivers, like that you can only do mornings or afternoons, but we are open to absolutely anything that people are, like, we will make things
But
work.
if someone only had mornings, they
Yes.
might not apply if it says, full-time job.
Yeah,
That's
it-
what I'm saying.
I'm trying to remember what the application, I think it's fairly vague on there.
Yeah, I don't think it specifies
Yeah.
hours. We can change it though.
Yeah, we can definitely change it to make it more that we are flexible. Because I do think you might get some people like that, and some might even just want to do the sports games, right?
Right.
Is the only way to do it the extended, like some classes, you can do it over, I don't know how many weeks, you said it was 6 weeks, 8 weeks?
She said.
Okay, but there's some classes, they have a choice of doing it over a period of like 8 weeks, but they also do intensive classes, like with scuba diving. You can do it over 2 months, or you can do it in a 5-day, all-day-long classes. Is there a CDL that does an intensive course, it's faster?
I don't know enough.
There's so few CDL trainers at this point.
Okay. I'm just thinking as a way to have a quicker.
Right, to make a quicker, and that's the other option,
I
right?
haven't seen any of those, but they could be.
I don't want to stop the conversation on the patchwork thing, but whatever we're doing is patchwork for right now. So don't we need to have a bigger plan for how to change the law? Because you said it here, it's a national problem. It's also a state problem, regional problem. The VSBA could be lobbying for us on this. But it's going to be a packed legislative session. And your fly just came over here. Sharon.
This fly is driving us all crazy.
Should call him back, please.
Thank you.
But I mean, we need to, so if we're going to, try to coordinate this at the region, I guess what I'm suggesting is we need a game plan for at least putting it out there that we want to see this change made, and if VSBA can lobby for it, great. If not, then maybe we start to talk with our legislators before the session begins, because they're going to be slammed
Right.
once it
Yeah.
does.
That is something I'd be willing to reach out and speak to whomever will speak to me on that. That's a good point. And I think it needs to be more than just one voice, right? Because
Oh, yeah.
they need to know that this is a priority.
That's why I'm suggesting with VSBA
Yeah.
that we can say,
Yeah.
this is a problem across the state, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
There's a chance this might be tied to a federal law, though, so we might need to look into that.
Oh.
The
There's federal
Safe-
statute on it.
SAFE
There is.
TEA, it's like this big acronym. the Safe, Accountable, Flexible, Efficient Transportation Equity Act. So just putting before we.
So it's probably a
Get too
bigger
excited.
than just us.
It might be, yeah.
I mean, these are also safety standards, like these are safety industry standards that are set. I mean, I know, we all drive kids around, our own kids, our own families, but, these safety standards exist for a reason.
Yeah,
And that's, something that obviously we value and want to take into account as well.
But we shouldn't dismiss the idea that it exists because of insurance and liability,
Sure.
and that there's a cost to that. But there's also a cost to not changing the law, which is also probably has grown since the scarcity of drivers with the qualified licenses has risen.
Well, and there's different levels of CDL, like, I mean, we're not gonna lobby for it, but it's like, because if you're going to full bus driver, you're doing air brakes, you're on a vehicle that's over 26,000 pounds, like, there's all this stuff that requires you to do that, but you can also get a CDL that, like, for us, like, if I'm pulling my truck and a piece of equipment, and if it weighs just a little bit over, I can get a CDL that just covers that.
Right.
So it's like,
Like a temporary.
but that doesn't give, but you can't do that with the bus driver validation. So, if you could, so you would be.
Are you saying that maybe for a fleet van, though, there might be?
I would say you would have to lobby for, that would be the
Have an
change,
exception.
to say it wouldn't allow you to drive a full school bus.
Right.
But can you?
Could you tell us?
Because once you have the two things, you're still overweight.
I was wondering, is there an update on looking at, we were gonna look at the budget to even see if this year there was, and I know now with positions shifting and an open position, maybe that is.
It did not, right, yeah, because of, now we have potentially two positions, right? We have the coordinator position, and we do ask for a CDL for that. In the past, I guess the person did not have a CDL, but it is convenient for when we have someone call out. I did speak to Stan somewhat about it, and I know we did then start moving in the other direction when, we had the resignation. Now we were concerned about getting that. So I can update you on that. I can even send everyone an email. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Len, do you remember? So before, I know, this was like when I first started, so like Connie started right around when we first started, but at that point, didn't that position was a different position? Didn't we merge?
It was part-time.
Yeah, right?
Yes, it was part-time. That person resigned, and then it was decided to go to full-time.
And it was supposed to be, and the point of it was, and if I'm going for that flag, was that the to make it into a full-time position there used to be the buildings had an assistant.
Yes.
And then we combined those two
Yes.
positions? And that's what happened, right? So like that was how that new position was created.
So it's my understanding that it was coordinator and then maintenance.
Yeah.
And when I asked Tim about the amount of maintenance that is done during the school year, he said it's not as much because the coordinator position can keep you busy full-time. He said it's more during the summer that the position does a lot more maintenance.
Because I was just wondering if that, like, if we're looking for a new, was that role appropriate? And does something need to change with that? I mean, obviously, you're trying to just hire somebody for in the middle of the school year, but going forward, like, it's like, is that how that position should still look? Because it was a new way of doing that position. And I don't know the answer to that. I'm just putting it out there that it was a new, her form of it was new.
Yes.
Okay, are there any final questions? Because I would like to move on. Go ahead, Dave, and then Sarah.
Believe it or not, I was once a school bus driver instructor. But I never taught a class because I never drove a school bus and I didn't think I'd have any credibility. But I can tell you, I agree with what you said over there, that there's a lot more to driving a school bus than just moving a big vehicle around.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff about protecting the safety of kids that you have to know and has to be taught to those drivers. So that's one thing, it complicates it. And the other question I had is I forget the name, but First, whatever it is.
First
bus-
Student.
Yeah. Are they the only game in town?
No, there was another one. We reached out to them first because they're more local, and they immediately said they did not have drivers and that the owner was now driving.
Yeah.
So they could not accommodate any requests.
Yeah.
But if you know of another one, I'm on the lookout for it. I don't know that, it would be a big decision for you guys to think about if we were to contract it out.
The other-
Because there's pros and cons.
Just one last thing is that fleet vans are great, but when we were in college, you take a fleet van out as like a sports team or like a camping thing, and they flip over a lot. College kids, it's about, so they're not like magically safe just because,
Yeah.
so it is a consideration
Yeah.
of thinking of that too.
Yeah.
Especially if you're driving in a winter condition
That's
and
what
things
I was
like that.
thinking
Yeah.
about, yeah. Okay, Sarah, and then,
I'll be quick with this, but I did want to say that for the advertisement that you have, I'm going to look and see if there's intensive courses, because if they even exist,
You can do it usually 3 weeks, I think is the fastest.
which is much faster. I think that we can't make this decision now, but I think that we should consider, if we get applicants, saying that we will pay them also for the time for their course in addition to the course. I mean, I just did the math. If it's a 72-hour course, that adds a cost of $1,400. And, I mean, I feel like this is a pretty much of an emergency situation.
180 hours of
I
driving
thought it was
time?
72. That's
Is that
what
what it is?
That's what somebody said to me.
Oh, maybe.
Well, okay, I'm only going because heard it was 72.
I could be wrong.
Well, and I put it $20 an hour, 72 hours is $1,440. I have to say that I feel like that is if we could say that the CDL class will be paid for and you will be paid for your time, you might even get some seniors coming out of school who do it. So I don't know how we make that happen, but I think that should be added to the ad, in my opinion, if we can make it.
do they still have the CDL program out?
Stafford?
Stafford?
Yeah, they do.
does, yes.
That's who you see driving around with this.
But we pay them for their time, it's basically a Saturday job for them. They,
Yeah.
I know, there's the
I would imagine
possibility
they're
they get
pretty
halfway
booked
through the
out.
class and don't finish it. But, I mean, I think we
It's a
have
risk we
to,
have to take.
Dave,
I
did
just,
you have
I was just gonna say, I'd still like to I feel like we're trying to patch up a leaky ship here. I still think we need a different model for how we find, retain, and employ people who can drive buses.
Yeah.
I don't think that we're gonna solve the problem with the way we're doing this. I think we need to investigate what it would look like to bring on maintenance staff whose job description includes driving buses, yearly positions with benefits. How do we merge those two roles in such a way that we retain staff, that it's a sought-after job, and it's a livable wage, that a mother of two who provides for their family does, year-round. That it's not a job that is really tailored for people with flexible schedules or who are retired. I think we need to market it and advertise it and re-envision that role in such a way that we can make it a sought-after, livable job.
Yeah.
I think we're barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah, okay, and I do think that.
I think,
Got that,
is
right?
Stephen
Yep.
trying?
Okay, so
it works.
I think we've,
Maybe it
oh,
was Ned.
Stephen, sorry, do you have something you want to add?
No, maybe it was Ned.
can take his
but-
spot. I think there would be community-wide support for increasing budget line items for transportation
Yeah,
at this point. I
it
mean,
does seem that
it is literally the only issue I have heard from anyone in Wallingford talking to me as a
Well,
member of the school
And
board.
if kids are getting to school late and getting home at 5:30,
Yeah.
that's just,
Okay.
that's just not okay.
It's the only thing
And
people
that
have brought up to
and
me.
I think that person doesn't exist anymore.
I don't know.
I think we're being we're proving that if everybody's having trouble getting bus drivers, then we have to change the model.
Not to cut other people off, but I think how we envision bus driver is the problem. Like, if it's a maintenance position where part of your role is driving the bus, that's different than the traditional part-time bus driver. So I think that's which are we talking about? Because I would agree with you that people who want to work 2 or 3 hours in the morning, have 4 hours off and work 3 hours in the morning, can make 6 hours a day, that doesn't exist anymore. That's what we're seeing. So how do we redo that to find a job that is sustainable and can be found?
I just like to clarify, I meant to support that by, if we expand that role to be a more costly role, I think the community would support paying for that.
Yeah.
And I do want to say that we have repeatedly in the past tried to create that position. And it doesn't mean we can't keep trying. But I do want to speak to the difficulty in getting our custodial staff fully staffed, as it is right now, and how much we value those folks. And make sure that they're hearing that message, that we value them, because we spent about 2 years getting that staff fully staffed.
Yeah.
And none of them are currently feeling comfortable going for this, even with all of the incentives we've currently offered. But we're not messaging that anybody would be at risk.
Well, I'm not looking to
Yeah,
denigrate
no, I
anybody
know,
who's doing
I
that
know,
job
I
currently,
totally
but
know,
I
David.
just-
I was just making sure to say that.
But to Sarah's point of trying to figure out if we're saying we can maybe put some more money to it, if it is like we can pay for your time to do it, it's just what are the legalese of saying, but you then have to drive for us for 2 years, like that part of thing, and making
Yeah,
sure that is actually a thing that you can do.
I mean, I know lots of people though who they have training paid for by employers.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't finish the class, and they say that there's no consequences. So in reality, let's say you said to the custodial staff that going forward, that you'll get paid $20 an hour to take this class, but it's expected that you do it. If they get that certificate, they can take it somewhere else. You can say that they have to stay here for 2 years, but there's no way to enforce that. So anybody knows that.
Yeah.
Which is they just got given a really valuable thing if you pay them for the time. And I think you might find people a lot more interested in doing it if you pay them for the time. I think. I could be wrong.
Okay.
We got to think of everything, try anything at this point.
All right. I think this is probably going to be on our agenda again. When we do agenda building. X73 update. Rich, I was wondering if you wanted to report out a little. I took notes from Cheryl, Rich, Kim, you were there. Anybody else? And me. We're on the SBA regional meeting. Were you on it?
No, I wasn't.
Actually, it was quite interesting. And I guess I have two main things I'll talk about, and you guys fill in. One is our survey. I sent you all should have that survey in your Google Drive, and you can look at the responses. You're all on as editors.
I'll talk briefly about that in community engagement report as well.
Okay. Really good input. What do you see as our strengths and what do you see as some of the challenges of the district? I think that's just really good information that we got, and I think it'll be really helpful to Cheryl, particularly as she works on her goals, because it gives her a lot of information about what we're doing well and what needs there are. The areas around, what do you see as positives for redistricting and what are some of the challenges? Transportation was probably one of the challenges that came up over and over and over again. So, and athletics was another. So that was interesting to me. So that is open till Friday, and then on Monday, I, as board chair, will try and consolidate that information and put it, because that all came from the VSBA survey, put that information and send it off to VSBA. I talked with Eric Montbriand, sorry, not saying his name right. He's the board chair for the Greater Rutland Supervisory Union. And they are, actually, Cheryl just mentioned, they're going to try and have a meeting of all the board chairs and superintendents to talk about whether we want to put some sort of recommendation in to, you know, remain a school district, become part of a supervisory union, although there was a lot of talk about why supervisory unions probably aren't going to fly. But the most interesting thing, I think, was the fact that the redistricting committee is going to come up with 3 maps. They've already come up with one, which is basically Rutland County. They're not sure, you know, what the governance will be of that. They're not really sure about much of anything. And they have 2 more maps to come up with. Then, those 3 maps go to the legislature. They make no decisions. And the legislature has to approve one of the maps, or they can reject all of the maps, or they can come up with their own map. So we are far from any decisions being made. So, I don't know, I guess my conclusion is that we just continue to operate as the school district we are. And if we do anything in terms of, you know, having legislators come to, you know, have input after the session starts, there's no need to do that now. However, there will be public input hearings, and I think even if you don't want to make comment, I think it's really good to go and hear that. So, for those of you who aren't there, it was an hour and a half, well, just the main thing was an hour, right, 6 to 7. There is a link, I'll send it to all of you. I think it's really useful to listen to as a school board member. So, you know, if you're, put it in your earbuds and.
Yeah, we just got the link now, and it's the full video.
Yeah, it's the full video. So, well, I'll send that out to everybody.
Well, I was just going to say, if it's okay, jump in.
Yeah, please.
One of the things, like, I know I've heard from some teachers and staff at like some of our smaller elementary schools, like concern and being like, do we know our school's closing? What do we know? So there is that anxiety happening. And also this task force really wanted to be clear, like we have nothing to do with potential school closing or potential new buildings of schools or anything like that. So, yeah, so to your point, like, just like everybody has to hold tight for a little while, which is hard, I know. But the task force really wanted to be clear that that is not in their purview in any way.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, the legislators presenting yesterday who were on the task force also made it clear up front that they voted against the bill.
Yep. Mainly because of the timeline, it sounded like.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's only because of the timeline, but they certainly made, yeah, you can't make, this is a huge decision to be made in a very, very brief period of time. And that seemed to be a major concern.
Was there any discussion or mention of multiple school districts sort of starting to cooperate at this early stage and what they thought about that?
Yep, they said that there are, they're getting feedback all the time, and there are districts that are trying to, you know, say we'll get together.
And when we voted for our regional representative, that the question that was put out there, which I think some people missed, was that it was supposed to be, what can we do to work together more? And it kind of went off in various areas, but so that is already on the forefront of for the regionals to start talking more and more together about having or trying to put us in a position where rather than it happen to us, we have some say on it. Yeah.
Right. I think my thing is like, it's just so, for like, when you look at where we are, like our actual geographic location, there's just like so few options for us to actually like suggest anything. Like this first map is just based on like the technical school map, right? And it's like, and it's weird because it's like one of Scott's appointees like when he put on, but it doesn't even meet the like Burlington still has they have a huge district and we have a small district. So it's like, I still don't exactly know, like, with it, like, of structure, like, how different are like, my mind is like, our map is gonna look the same in all three maps.
There's not.
Just because of just our geologic, where our location is, just because, like, to the south of us, you have to go so far south, and, like, it just doesn't, so it's hard to think of, like, and it really does sound like the supervisory unions are not going to be a thing. So then it's like, because that would be the one governance thing where he's like, oh, well, maybe you could figure out which districts you'd like to be a part of. But it's like, it's so hard to.
Right.
We could be combined with Bennington County.
I
It just seems like that's like the longest stretch.
Yeah, I don't think so. But I think the other thing is the representation, which, of course, until you know what the districts are, and that's the, I think today was the first meeting of the ward committee task force, voting ward committee. And they're going to decide, I tried to get on it, but I didn't quite make it. They're going to decide how many board members there'll be. So if there is this huge Rutland County school district, how many board members will be on that? And what will which towns will vote for which members? And, that's going to be a whole other issue, does Rutland get, since it's the most students, the largest representation, and so
And that's
it's
a different working group.
That's a different working group, and they started today, so we'll see how that.
And that's still just, and that working group is still just a suggestion working group, right?
Right,
'Cause it's
correct.
And as we've had this conversation just about, working on our athletic fields, and we're talking some capital expenses, right? And in my mind, I have two thoughts. I said, great, that would make us more of a destination place. And wait, do we really want to invest if we don't have control over whether or not we'll continue? I mean, and that's going to be a problem everywhere. This is going, the uncertainty factor hurts our decision making.
That was the other thing they talked about, was that you can't even talk about closing schools or consolidating schools until you have a building fund,
Right, yeah.
to build schools.
Yeah.
I mean, Rutland could take in some students, but they can't take in every kid in the county. And
Right, and even if they.
How about Mill River? Can they take in kids?
we can take kids.
Sure.
We got tons of room.
Right. But since we haven't, as a state, after 2008, brought back our, building fund for the state level, which every other New England state has now, no matter what district it is, everybody's in a deficit for our buildings.
Yes.
But we keep, for what we can, and I know I'm stating the obvious here, but we got to keep making as policies to become a destination school for this region with every decision we make.
And I think in buildings and grounds, like, the thing that we have been saying is, no matter what happens, we want if a building gets closed, we want to make sure the building is in the best shape that
Yeah,
as the district can have to give back to the towns,
right.
Just to emphasize too, the 4,000 to 8,000 student district, they emphasize that it's when possible. So
Yes.
just they're aware of that.
And they said, like up north, there'll be hundreds and hundreds of miles to try and get
Yeah.
4,000
Right.
students.
Right.
So.
And then also the conversation of cost drivers with this, and kept, kind of like, what is the cost savings, and like, what is it? And they're just basically, for this task force, the redistricting task force, we're like, they're not looking at cost drivers. Yeah, it's just not a part of what they've been tasked to do.
And
Has any group been tasked with that? I mean, not to be
No,
flippant, but isn't that the
doesn't sound
point
like
of this?
It doesn't sound like it.
No.
I think it's basically, that document that the consulting firm created that said, like, this is how much you should be spending. Right. And you're not spending that much. So if we get, if we get rid of all the administrators, and like this, I mean, I think the underlying message is actually, if we get rid of all the administrations, And then after a few years, you've consolidated schools, you no longer have a lot of teachers. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's the thing that they're not talking about, and they didn't talk at all about creating a building fund.
But once you start talking about closing schools, you're gonna lose a huge chunk of what little support there might still be for this endeavor. And they know that.
Yeah.
So they're not
That's
talking
why they
about
don't
it.
talk.
So,
Yeah, so one of the questions was, what is the financial modeling for larger districts? That larger districts will save money, and they really didn't have any. But they're looking at district sizes that make sense. So some bigger districts will work, like Rich was saying, or who was saying, like our area is kind of a consolidated area, but in other parts of the state, it won't work. And, they're trying to say that it's all about providing equitable education. So they were saying, like, some high schools have no AP classes, no athletic programs. And we're not in that position. We have all of that. And so that's why I say we need to focus on keeping our district really viable, really,
With an eye to if none of this works, the foundation formula is probably the thing that definitely is going to happen.
Right.
Right? And so it's like keeping in mind of, if we are in a good place for when the foundation formula comes to pass, our district will continue to succeed, and we'll continue to at least be able to have budgeting conversations that have good outcomes versus, the top half of the districts are going to be like, we have to cut a lot, and if we can try to, because that is the one thing that we can control.
Yes, yeah.
Right, for the short term at least, but we don't have that much control.
But my understanding is if this consolidation doesn't go through, no foundation formula.
Yeah.
So, so we know what we don't know, pretty much.
But
which is
to
everything.
Josh's point, Vermont suffers overall from economies of scale, right? That we don't have the economies of scale. And then within Vermont, though, what we're seeing now, you get the Northeast Kingdom, which is a very different situation. So it's just on a micro level, it's just blown up.
But also at the district sizes they're talking about, I don't see how, like, if you go to a vendor and say, well, now I have 8,000 kids, like, I don't feel like you're getting that much of a better deal.
Right.
If you say I have like 100,000 kids,
Right.
then, maybe you're getting a better deal on something, but it's like, I don't know where you're getting all the savings from.
Can I just add to, it's interesting to me because I spent most of my career in a larger district, and a good portion of my time was making the school feel smaller for students, right? That's what we did a lot of. How do we make it so that all students are seen and known? And so this is like the reverse of what we think is good, that we know that students are well-known by their teachers and it's a smaller community.
To add on to that, it was interesting to me, and I've read, there's a lot more responses since I read through all the responses to the survey, but people were citing the small class sizes as a good thing,
Yeah.
and people were citing it as a negative of the school as well, so it's...
Well, you've got this paradox, right, that everybody wants small, you want lots of resources, and you want it cheaply.
Yeah.
You can have two.
Maybe.
And I think there is an argument of like what you need in elementary versus what you need in high school, and like if you're not hitting all the we had a very high overachiever as our student rep last year, and like if he was in a bigger school district, he might not have run out of things to do, but like, so it's that fine balance. But I was at I did a bunch of community stuff the past couple days, and I had people coming to me talking about basically having resource problems, where it was like, the message is we have small schools, but I'm hitting this roadblock I'm asking for this resource, and you're saying you're seeing every kid, but you're not doing it. And they're anecdotal, and there's always going to be kids that do that. But it's like, we have to make sure that if we're saying we're going, we like our small schools, we still have to be able to try to do the best of, actually providing and saying, and doing the things that we all, in our nostalgic idea of what small schools mean, actually can achieve those things, right?
Right.
Because that's the hardest line for me. Because I grew up in a place that was middle big. Like, it's not like giant big like New York City, but it was like, we had so many kids in all our classes, and I still think kids are getting,
I had 1,500 kids in my graduating
Yeah.
class.
Oh, I had 600, wow, and I thought
Yeah,
that was
I only had
good.
like 3.
Wow.
David, it looked like you
Well,
wanted
it's
to
just,
say something?
it's interesting because, again, like, we want, like you said, we want the trappings of small classes, small schools. We want, as you said, big opportunities. So, setting aside all of this consolidation stuff.
Yeah, right.
How do we find a way to offer maximum opportunity to our kids while still keeping our autonomy and still keeping our small feel?
Yeah.
And like, without necessarily trying to do some of the things that didn't work with like video conferencing and stuff for classes. Like, how do we use resources around us to pool AP and offer more to our kids? How do we pool resources around and offer more differentiation for high achieving kids that we don't have to give to by law, but we should, because we're losing our kids to homeschool and other places.
Right.
So how do we do those things well as a district? And we talked about sports being in this destination district. What if we were offering gifted and talented programming, because we could, and we should, in our schools?
Right.
What if we were offering, more AP classes in coordination with West Rutland, Proctor, in other schools in our area, to pool those kids in a meaningful way?
Yeah.
Where we could offer, AP stat, and things like that I don't believe are offered in this district.
Correct.
But if you went to BBA, it is. So again, like, that's where I think a conversation that we can still control, that links up also with these connections where some districts are doing anyway, could be strengthened.
So I'm just going to put a plug in for Cheryl, because when we talked about her supervision plan, one of the things that she has noticed is we don't have a strategic plan. And so a strategic plan, I think, would address the exact thing that you're talking about. So she's going to work on it. So
Give
we'll
me
figure
time to
out.
figure it
We'll
out.
figure out the process,
Yeah,
but
'cause
I think that leads right to that conversation.
And I think one of the other things that I think is hard for elementary schools is, like, I feel like I have an experience with my children in the Tinmouth school, and then in another school, we'll have a friend who has a student in a very similar position, and they're getting a very different experience of, like, getting extra help or doing something like that. And how to best, because, each school, you want to be able, the administrator to be able to run their own way, but, like, how can you best have the communication work out so that people who are exceeding in one, like, if a principal is running a school and doing really well in this one spot, how do you help get all the other principals, like everyone's going to be good at something, and how do we encourage that to keep going? Because
Well, we have a strategic plan and our superintendent, then
We're all rowing in the same
we're all
direction.
rowing.
How many students can Mill River absorb? That'll be part of the strategic plan.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it was built for 800.
What?
I think it was originally built when we did the addition. Do you remember, Lenny? 800.
It was
Over 800.
It was 800, yeah, it was like
Yeah.
800.
And so how many do we have now?
What is there here?
About 4.
About 4. So we have lots
A
of,
lot of room.
I mean, we have a lot of room, but,
There's still less, though.
then you bring in more people, you have to hire more staff, of course, if they're tuition. So how is that all going to work?
But I mean, most schools in this area right now have surplus capacity.
Absolutely.
Like, when I started it in Rutland, there were 400 students in that school. Now there's 280,
Right.
more or less.
Right.
So.
And
that was a big peak, right? It's like most of these schools were built when when there was that big peak, and there could be lots of circumstances that could lead to more people being here, but in the short term, everybody's going to have a surplus. So it's how good is your building, and it's like,
yeah, so, and that's one of the things building and grounds we talked about is there was a lot of deferred maintenance, and that's what's happening in a lot of schools. And so we're trying to get caught up on that. So speaking of that, our next agenda item is a facilities request from Tim that he would like us to discuss and approve. And I guess he needs it done before the next building and ground.
Yeah, because we're not meeting till the end of
Because
the
we're not
month.
meeting till the end of October. So the first one, did this go out to everybody?
It was you sent out an email, right, forwarding Tim's email?
I hope I did, yeah. I meant to.
Oh, you might have just sent it to me and Stephen.
Oh, I might have just sent it to building and
Or
grounds.
let me see if it,
So the first one is the manhole repair at Mill River. That's this mess out here. For your consideration, I've attached the contractor who provided a quote for the manhole replacement at Mill River North parking lot. The project will consist of removal of existing failed manhole and installation of a new manhole. We would like to use funding from the building and grounds surplus budget to complete this project. It's $18,000. From Fabian, Markowski did not provide a bid, and Belden, no response. So his recommendation would be to contract with Fabian Earth Moving Company to complete this project. I ask that the board make a motion tonight to approve the purchase of these services. Would someone like to make that motion? Ned, and a second. Josh, okay, discussion?
Where is this again?
it's the.
Right here, you know how you can't park, how there's the cones
Yes, I
out
do.
there? It's a sunken manhole,
Yeah.
so he would like to replace that.
And it's
So
something that we've been talking about in buildings and grounds for him to try to get
I think we were
quotes to
just
do.
waiting for the
Yeah,
quotes,
we were
yeah.
just waiting for the quotes. And there's just one of them.
Any other?
Well, I wondered if Josh, just from your experience, if the quote is reasonable and something.
Yeah, it's one of those things
I
where
don't
it's
have
like,
that
there's
expertise.
only so many games in town.
Hmm.
And if the other guys are busy and don't want to do a quote, it's less than what originally, we thought it was going to be more than what it is now.
Okay.
So it's not like, we're not getting gouged by it.
Okay.
I think originally he thought it was going to be in the 30s. And so then, but it wasn't that. Just wait until we figure out what the price quote for paving this, and then you'll wonder if we can find a better price.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? 1, 2, 3. Okay, unanimous. All right, the next one, I start at the end. Roof repairs at Shrewsbury Mountain School. For your consideration, I've attached the contractor who provided a quote for roof repairs at Shrewsbury Mountain School. The project will consist of removal of existing damaged standing seam roof panels and installing new panels. We would like to use building and grounds surplus budget to complete this project. The only bid, I guess, was from Vermont Construction Company, $45,600. The project was advertised in the Rutland Herald. We only received the one bid. Tim's recommendation is to contract with Vermont Construction Company to complete this project. I ask the board to make a motion tonight to approve the purchase of these services. Someone like to make that motion?
I'll make it.
Josh, second. Rich, okay, discussion. Is this in the,
This is, I don't remember
I don't remember talking about this. I'm wondering if, I know he said the top one was the one he really had to have.
Jody,
So-
do you know anything at all?
This one, I've had some conversation with. There was some, a little bit of back and forth between some community members that brought this up, and I kind of passed it on to both Tim and Kristen up at the school. And when Tim got out there to check it out, he said he hadn't realized there had been some pretty serious damage to the roof over the winter. And that he felt, I believe he said he felt that it was, potentially going to cause bigger facility problems not to deal with it right away.
And do we
have the money?
remember what our budget, it seemed like we were getting?
We're only at around 200, and so
Okay.
with that and that, I mean, in theory, the reason why we have the 200 is so that if something comes up, this
Like
is
this.
the point of it.
Okay.
I just have, yeah.
I think I just heard Stephen say that the idea of not doing it now is going to lead to greater costs. So then can we assume that by contracting now that we're going to get it done before winter?
I would assume so.
I would assume,
Yeah, and just for, my assumption, we didn't have this conversation, so normally we talk to him about this, but normally he would go out and try to ask for bids. And then if he's putting it in the Herald, that means he didn't get bids from anybody. And then he puts it in the Herald, and then, or you got only one bid. And if you put it in the Herald, that's how you go, if you don't have enough bids, you put it in the Herald so that it's out in public forum, and then you can go with you can move forward with your one bid. One of the things we need to talk about in buildings and grounds and have further conversations is, what is the process for trying to get these bids? Because if every project doesn't come out can't get more than one bid, which is the standard, and I understand it's hard to find contractors, but is there something that needs to change with how these bids are being approached? And how are they, what's the process of going out? So we'll have to talk about that in buildings and grounds, but.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay, all right, one more. This is the one he really needs. For your consideration, I've attached the contract who provided a quote for the expansion tank and pressure valves at Mill River. The project will consist of removal of existing tank valves and installation of a new tank and valves. We would like to use funding from Building and Grounds surplus budget to complete this project, and it's plumbing and heating, $20,300. My recommendation would be to contract with Plouffe Plumbing and Heating to complete this project. I ask the board make a motion tonight to approve the purchase of these services. Would someone like to make a motion? Ned, second?
Second. Sure.
Whoever you get, Rebecca. There you go. And this is, I don't really, pressure tank and valve, sounds important. Sounds important.
Is that the one that failed last
This
year?
is the actual water system, right? Not for the boiler system.
Yes.
Yes.
Right?
Is it the one that failed and they had the glass broke? It was some kind of valve and.
Flooded? No.
Yeah.
it was-
The flooding one was the heating system,
Okay.
which was and then, yeah, so this is, it'd be great if Tim was here just so we could get some clarity on it.
This is separate from the water testing and potential
Oh, right.
work coming from that, though, right?
I would assume so, because the water testing is usually specific, specific water
The
locations.
concern we've had in the last time we discussed that was it could be a large expense coming down the road that we
Right.
don't know the scale of.
There was suggestion in an earlier conversation that perhaps our well is insufficient and that might need to change. And I don't know how any of this is related, but is it possible that we spend money now for something that isn't going to?
You would still, most likely, I didn't talk to Tim about drilling a new well, but if you're
Yeah.
talking, if it's a $40,000 project, then that probably means it's its own, it would probably be an independent
It's its
well
own
that you
well
could tie
for-
into if you needed to.
Yeah, if you needed to, but
It'd be its own thing.
the new well is primarily for irrigation of the fields.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And can I just read for you guys
Yes.
what he wrote?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Because I think it'll clarify it. Water system, okay. Number 1 and 2, all due diligence has been done. Number 3 is the water system. Due to the risk level, I am asking if we can do this under the continuity of service section. Basically, we have 2 out of 3 pressure valves that have failed. And if the third fails, we will have no water at Mill River. There is a 3 to 4 week lead time on the valves. Giving permission to have Plouffe order them is somewhat time sensitive. Please let me know your thoughts, and if you want me to go in a different direction, I can do that.
And I'm assuming the school still wants water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
would,
pretty
that would.
important.
Sure, though.
I mean, if they didn't, I mean, if we're mad that we don't have water on the field, I think water in the building.
Yeah.
That would really cause
Slightly
problems.
higher.
I think we have to close the school that day. if we-
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if we don't have
Yeah.
water, it's a big
However
deal.
long.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That would be a PR.
So how much is that?
It's 20.
$20,300.
It seems like a lot of money for a valve, but it might be a real fancy one.
Well, it's a tank, it's a pressure tank and
And
three,
valves.
and valves. So
And-
it's,
And two of the three
and the
valves
person
have
who's
failed.
installing it, which is,
So it'd be 3 valves, because 2 already failed.
But
Only
it's, you know,
one is.
They're gonna do all 3 or 1?
Gonna do
they're gonna
3.
replace them, but the reality
says
is, it's the
valves
plumber
with it.
that costs a lot of money, you know?
Yeah,
Now,
no.
they do it at your house, too.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a skilled profession.
It does say valves with an S, so I'm thinking it's all 3
Yeah, I
valves.
don't think we have a lot of choice, but
Yeah.
But to be clear, I was being flippant, but with that, we need to have.
it would be, you
We
know.
need to have water, all in favor of water. Okay.
It would be good if we had, like, the maintenance guy here to talk to us about
Yeah, he
these sort of
wasn't
things.
able to make it
You know, I
tonight.
don't know.
Comes to building and grounds.
Okay.
But these
I thought
were
because we're
urgent
not
matters he thought
meeting-
needed addressing before that next meeting.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because building and grounds isn't meeting till the end of the month, he asked the full board to take it up. Otherwise, it would go through, he would come, there'd be a discussion, and we would have.
I'm
more.
not against that, but geez,
Yeah.
I don't know. I like to ask questions, and
Well,
there's
Yeah.
nobody to answer them.
well, you can, I'm sure you can call him and ask him.
Right, but it
You
is,
know?
yeah,
need a
and
discussion.
on normal circumstances, we would have vetted all of these things
Yeah.
under buildings and grounds, which we would have had on Monday, but we skipped we didn't have, the last meeting a month ago, we said we weren't gonna do
Yeah,
this.
we don't live in a perfect world.
Not yet, anyway. Okay, so,
Almost.
committee reports, personnel, Mr. Doucette.
Yes, here we are. We did meet tonight, and I have a couple of contractual issues to bring forward. And I guess I only have to make a motion because these were approved at the committee level.
Right.
So I will make a motion to offer a contract to Adam Luzader, 1.0 full-time equivalency, educational support staff.
All in favor?
Okay, thank you. Next is contracts for fall elementary coaches. And again, I would make a motion, there are several. I would make a motion that we offer these contracts to the fall elementary coaches.
I'll second that.
Okay, do you want to read the names or just do it as a slate? We'll
Do it as a slate.
Okay,
That's the way we've done it in the past.
okay. All in favor? Great.
Can I,
Oh, go ahead. You had discussion? Sorry, I didn't ask for it. Sorry, I missed it.
Len, we're talking here 1,600, right? This is, okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay. Next, our fall contracts for high school and middle school, and we have 2, and I'll do these individually just because there's only 2 of them. I'd like to offer a contract to John Casase as the high school football assistant coach.
Okay, all in favor?
Discussion?
All discussion, sorry.
I'm curious why the other 2 assistant football coaches were contracted positions in advance, it looks like, and this 4th adult, I don't know John at all, was sort of separate from the rest.
Well, in my understanding is when we had some contracts that we had approved before, these were not there, and then they should have been, but they weren't, and so we've had to do some digging, folks had to do some digging, I didn't. to find out which ones had been approved previously, because we had approved a bunch of them, as we usually do, but evidently some got left out. I mean, I think we actually approved Zach Allen twice.
Yes.
With a contract. I mean, it was that kind of, there was just confusion.
Yeah.
Is that,
was
I know it doesn't
curious,
clarify
yeah.
it, but
I kind of have a similar but different question. Are these people already doing this job and
Yes.
just not being paid right now?
Yeah.
I just want to point out there's $9,250 being spent on football and quite a bit less for every other sport
Yeah,
with similar numbers,
yeah.
which I just seems perhaps slightly problematic. And this does not include uniforms or gear or anything else. It's just staffing. So I mean, I respect the success of our football program. I'm not trying to denigrate it, but it is
It's a money.
a significant chunk of money invested on one fall sport.
That sport generates revenue that others don't, I suspect.
At this, maybe a little bit of booster monies, but other than that, I can't imagine what that would look like. But again, I just wanted to acknowledge that it is a significant chunk of money with much more staff than any other program has.
But they charge admission at games when we have home games.
Yeah,
And so that generates some revenue. I don't know how much.
That's for the booster club.
Yeah, that's the booster club. When I first got on the board and first approved this, I had the same observation. It's, you know.
I mean, it's a thing that, you know, if you're talking about having just more accountability for coaches and things like that, I mean, it's a conversation that we can have moving forward and saying, you know, is there a need for that many assistants? And if there is another spot within a sport that could use more of that funding or something, you know, I feel it's definitely worth talking, at least having a conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Then, is that it? Lenny, are you
all in favor?
all in favor, sir?
We have one more.
Thank you. And one, another one, I'll make a motion to offer a contract to Greg McGowan, middle school girls soccer coach.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in
Discussion.
favor? Oh, discussion. I don't know why. It's
It's already 9.
Oh, it's 9, you know, I like to keep us on, but that's okay.
All those in favor?
All right.
What? We're
And
not
then you
done.
have another one, I think, or two.
Next is, I make a motion that we accept the resignation of Connie Erickson as transportation coordinator.
Discussion.
Is she going to do a exit interview, do you know?
Yes,
Okay.
We're gonna offer it to her.
yes.
We're
we are
gonna
gonna
mail
offer
it to her.
We actually talked about it at personnel.
Okay,
And,
sorry.
no, that's fine.
She's being offered the same thing that we offer everybody else.
Correct.
We just don't know yet if she's
Correct.
saying yes. Okay,
Because we just approved the resignation.
okay, thanks.
No.
And is that it?
Discussion?
Oh, oh, yeah, discussion, that was
We're
discussion.
We were in discussion.
All in favor?
Sorry. That's it. Our next meeting will be November,
Oh, want me to try to.
the
find
first
it?
Wednesday in November.
Is the 5th.
Okay, November 5th at 6 PM.
Okay.
And that's here, right?
I'm gonna miss that one too, sorry, Lenny. I'm sorry.
When was that?
It's the second meeting.
Okay?
October, when was it again?
Want me to jump
November
into
5th.
policy?
Yes, policy, Kim?
Okay, we have not, sorry, we have not met since the last meeting. We do have we have F32 transgender and gender nonconforming students up for second read. I'd like to make a motion for us to,
Oh, yeah, we're not ready till the 15th, sorry.
oh, sorry, I saw it in there, so thank you. I just like assumed.
No,
Okay.
totally.
All right, so we did have a subgroup meet, Rich, Len, and I, we continued our classification work. We're going to share that out at the next policy meeting, which is Tuesday, October 14th at, what did we decide on? 6:30? It's like later, right? I apologize.
Yeah.
I thought I was ready and then.
6:30 is what I think we
Okay,
decided on.
at 6:30. And that's it.
Building and grounds.
Building and- We haven't met, but on Monday, I went with a walkthrough with the Tinmouth Select Board and the Tinmouth Community. I don't remember what our committee, but the committee that is in charge of the building, that is the gym in Tinmouth. And we did a walk around of the outside and the inside of the building. And there are still several concerning things, like a big hole in one of the walls in the community center that has been brought up by community members several times. We've brought it up in Buildings and Grounds. And this is why, and I'm slightly disheartened that a problem that a large structural problem that would lead to further structural problems just got voted on from Shrewsbury. That is a brand new problem when we've had a problem at Tinmouth. And so the select board is having a meeting on the 9th, and they are going to propose drafting a letter that says the school district is breaching their contract by not upkeeping the building. We've talked about it with Tim at several board meetings about the HVAC system that was installed and the stuff around it. So we are having a meeting on, the next meeting, the board meeting we're having is at Tinmouth, I believe. And so we're going to need to add, I believe, there's going to be a letter that we're going to need to be addressed. And Cheryl, I think they're going to reach out to you to try to get you to come maybe early to do a tour of just some of the concerns. But they're having they're having a meeting on the 9th. And so
The 9th is when
they're doing their select, I don't know if they'll invite you on the 9th, but there is a select board on the 9th.
Okay, what time is that?
I can look it up and I can send it to you.
Thank you.
That if you'd like to be at, I'm sure they would be glad to have you there.
So if they would just let us know what time you're going to do the walkthrough and other board members.
Yeah, I think they're planning on,
invited and
yeah.
accompanied
Yeah.
too, because I would like to walk around.
For sure.
Although the 9th is not the walkthrough.
The 9th is not the walkthrough, the 9th is just the town select board meeting, and that'll be at the town office in Tinmouth. And it also, you can do it hybrid as well, so.
Oh, okay.
But I know, so that will be an issue that we're going to talk about when we're at
So
Tinmouth.
can you describe that a little better?
So Tinmouth is a wood building, and there's many different sections of it. There's the old building, which was very difficult to get work done on previously because it's a historical building and it maybe had lead, and that was a very difficult problem, and I can understand why that would take a long time. But the community center, like if you imagine the big gym, where the kitchen is, above that, the roof that comes down off of that, there are clapboards that have been rotting away and have been rotting away for a period of time. And we have gone through the normal motions of not, in previous times, the town has gone directly to the building's director and not necessarily gone through all the channels that were the appropriate way. And so this time we've been trying to go, we've had community members talk. I guarantee you there's going to be community members that come at our meeting. Jen has done the ask for work orders to get it done. The response is always, I can't find someone to do. One of the responses was, well, I asked that person, like the person who was complaining, to do it, and he said he didn't have time to do it. And it's like, it's not his job to do that. And so there are other spots on the building where the wood cladding, there, you can see that there's water damage. There's some stuff on the roof that, it's a relatively new roof, but there's already some problems with it. So I'm very frustrated of what of that. Shrewsbury had a fast turnaround, and I don't understand why it hasn't happened with Tinmouth, which is one of the reasons why I'd really like to understand how the bidding process, like how is it working that this problem has been around for a while.
Don't worry, last
Hasn't
year,
been to the
Shrewsbury
school
had its
board.
frustrations last year.
I
so-
understand.
It hasn't been to the school board, or it has?
We have talked about it in buildings and grounds, and we've had, and I know that there has been direct reach out to Tim via community members, and there's, and they'll, on the list, there's some other stuff. There's like an ADA compliance with the ramp out front of the building. There's a lip on, like, you know, it's like, there's just stuff that has been brought up multiple times that hasn't occurred. So, and so it's, we're at the point where we've done it through the principal, we've done it through community members, we've done it through buildings and grounds, and there doesn't seem to be movement on it. So it's quite frustrating.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So we just approved for Shrewsbury, and we're drawing from the surplus. Is this zero sum? Is the fact that we're working on one school and drawing down the surplus mean we can't?
We're always trying to keep, we're trying to, there's no such thing as parity, right? So like when we're talking about projects in buildings and grounds, we're trying to make sure that all the, you know, there, some require, like Tinmouth doesn't have any paving, right? So Clarendon just gets paved, Wallingford's gonna get paved. Like, we have to spend a whole lot on Tinmouth to make up for those two paving projects, right? And so it doesn't always equal out, but you at least need to have, like, and we've had, you know, there was HVAC done, you know, there was, but that was all ESSER money, you know, like, so like, there is work that happens, and there was like, you know, the other caveat, right, is that Tinmouth, technically the town owns the building, and the school board rents, but it's like, it's basically just a reverse of all the other ones, where it's like, all the other schools, if you pay them $1, the town pays it $1, they get the building back.
Why don't you get some estimates?
But so that's
the hard.
That's what's frustrating in that.
You're
I
wondering
guess,
Why can we not get a single bid? And like the select board, it's like I told them, it's like if find somebody and then just tell Tim to, like, because it's at the point that it's really frustrating. It's not their job to do it, and
But perhaps I didn't articulate the question well, but I'm wondering, so we tend to, we get these things in isolation, right? So we're discussing Shrewsbury right now, and then we're discussing the water thing, and every time it's well, that's a no-brainer, we need to do that, we need to do that. As opposed to discussing these things kind of, here's the surplus money we have, here's all the work that needs to be done, and who's being left out, who's on the block. You hear what I'm saying? That we have a list of priorities.
We have a list of known priorities that are all larger ticket items. What we don't have is like, because like the problem specifically with like this project is now it's bigger, so now it does have a bigger budget. But when it's like when you're saying it's just little projects and just like maintenance, it doesn't even necessarily come out of buildings and grounds. It just comes out of just the maintenance budget. Like when that doesn't get done enough, then you have to come to buildings and grounds, because then the budget is bigger.
Right, the deferred maintenance is a huge.
Right, you know, so there is still, we have a 5-year plan, there's still huge gaps in that 5-year plan, because there's all the unknown things that could ever go wrong. We're better off than we were 3 years ago of kind of understanding what projects need to be done. But like, you know, we didn't have pressure valves on our list of things. We have other like the septic here is like, it still flows pretty good, but if it stops flowing pretty good in the middle of winter, then like boom. If we wanted to pave like this whole pavement, that's 1.5 million probably. Like, you know, that's so. But that being said,
and there's also some water testing.
Yeah.
So is this Tinmouth thing a maintenance issue or a buildings and grounds issue at this point?
It was certainly a maintenance. It was a maintenance issue.
But now it's.
And it might, and maybe now that it's like, you know, because there's more work to be done. I think because all the other schools are brick, right? And so like there is just
Stan's coming in.
There is work that needs to be done.
I was just listening to this, what we used to do to handle maintenance types issues is it got put into the budget.
Yeah.
It would be put into a budget, maybe like $100,000 would get put into the budget. The building committee, once that budget was approved for next year, would assign the jobs, the maintenance kind of jobs that needed to be done with that money, and it was given to the facility director to perform that during the year and to get that done.
So not surplus money.
Not
This is money that's
surplus
straight
money,
up in the budget.
actually budgeted money.
And so now, I should know this, but I don't know off the top of my head, we still have a maintenance budget, but it's just not as big
Right.
because we tend to use the big stuff that comes out of that surplus.
Right.
And did that did that change like right around COVID or right before?
It changed right around COVID, and because, the building committee, as you know, didn't meet on a regular basis around that period of time, so that money wasn't getting used, so it was taken out of the budget.
So and that's one of those things of history that it's like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That it was a budgeted item, and then we happen to have these big surpluses, so like you could just keep that train rolling.
Yeah,
That's
and
how it works,
now
right?
that, the committee meets regularly, so it's easier to assign projects to that money for the upcoming year.
Yeah. Right. But I still think, sorry, just to this point of, I still think if you went to, if every single, there's a list that Tim has, and that's kind of what we've based our 5-year, and then just stuff that we've heard from the community, like having people come in to talk about, I'm pointing to the people that aren't there anymore, but talking about okay, a well, what would that look like? But of the idea of strategic plan, I think it was this is a wood, clad building, what is that, when, because you can see that at one point, a part of it was painted, but not all of it was painted, and that, I don't know when that happened, I don't know when it is gonna need it again, that kind of thing is still not, and it's some of it is too small for it to be our business. Right. And it's that should just be stuff that just happens on a daily basis and you can just go out and get the work. But the bigger stuff, the flooring that we just did, that was in the plan. Talking about the gym floor, that was in the plan. And then it's a real rough number that doesn't really have anything to, I don't know if any of those numbers ever really line up.
Sometimes they're higher, sometimes
Right.
they're lower.
And I think the new, this new committee, when we restart, this new reorg, it was well, you have this document, is it living? Is it, what's happening to it? So I think that's a thing that is still a work in progress.
And a lot of, not a lot, but some of the items on there are things that could go. And kind of like
That's a
these
big part of the
valves.
list.
Yeah, kind of like these valves, they're on there. And we didn't pay for them last year, and, and now this year we have to pay for it. And maybe it was on the 4-year plan, but now it's, and there's all sorts of machinery like that. I don't even know what it is, but, so, yeah, so,
And anybody can go look at it, because it's usually included in our meeting minutes for B&G, it's,
Yeah.
you can, it gets sent out too, so.
and then Stan gives us an update of the encumbrances. So the gym floor, which isn't gonna be done till next year, is already encumbered on that money.
My question is the difficulty with this that we have sought bids and not received them, or is it that we
But I've
have
been
not
told.
sought bids?
We don't know. My assumption is that people are doing their job and that bids are being sought and they're not being, but I don't know what that process looks like. And it's not easy.
Yeah.
But it's been, I just don't see how long people have been having this problem.
Yeah.
How it could still be a problem.
Right, it seems, okay.
Yeah.
So, and the next building and grounds meeting is?
I know it off the top of my head. I just need to look at the calendar. It is October 27th,
Yeah, the Monday.
and that would be at 5.
5. Okay. Community engagement, Sarah's not here. You're gonna take it.
Give me
Go for
notes.
it. She left you notes, excellent.
The last meeting was on the 17th, and we decided to send out the survey on Act 73. When I last looked yesterday, I think it was I don't know, all my days run together. When I last looked, we had 65 responses.
It was
That number
81.
is now up to 107
Yeah,
right now.
Good response rate, I think.
As I mentioned earlier, there's been somewhat conflicting answers on some questions. I think we need to sort of, and I'm hesitant to do this, but I'm going to volunteer myself to sort of analyze this stuff and try to put together consensuses but from all these questions and see what,
I would like to.
which way things are leaning.
I would like to do that with you somehow, but I need to do it by the 6th. Because the responses to this are gonna go to the VSBA, which is then gonna get consolidated to go to the redistricting committee. I don't know what your time looks like.
Me neither. But we can come up with a plan offline.
Okay, sounds good.
I will reach out
Okay,
today or
perfect.
tomorrow to come up with a plan.
Excellent.
The October 15th community engagement meeting is canceled. Sarah promised there was a story behind that, but hasn't shared it yet. And the next scheduled meeting is now November 12th. I believe that will be a community conversations followed by a brief committee meeting. I don't think we yet have the subject matter for that community conversations determined. We might have to also talk.
Yeah,
before the meeting about.
I was a little bit kind of confused because we've never said at community conversations that someone can't bring something up. If we have a topic, it's only.
I think maybe they said it wasn't happening. I think that's what she
Yeah.
said. So it might have been a canceled meeting or something like that.
Sounded like they were turned away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sound like they were turned away, so I mean, in the year and a half I've been on the committee, we haven't ever, so maybe it was sometimes old is new, I don't know. Okay, you good?
That's everything I had unless there's a question.
Okay, finance, Stephen?
Yeah, can you guys hear me all right?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, I'll jump right into payable warrants. We have payable warrants in the amount of general fund at the amount of $771,922.04. General fund in the amount of $149,404.59. Food service, the amount of $10,531.87, and after-school program in the amount of $5,052.19 for a total of $936,910.69. And student activities from Wallingford in the amount of $768. I'll make a motion to accept these accounts payable warrants. Do we have a second?
That did it.
All right, any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. And our payroll warrants from September 26th in the amount of $671,068.20. I'll make a motion to accept this payroll warrant. Second?
Seconded.
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. And our next finance meeting is on the 6th in a few days. We're going to be looking at transferring of some class balances to a scholarship fund. We'll be looking at kind of our initial budget ideas for fiscal year 27 and maybe talking a bit about surplus management moving forward over the next bit of time here, a few years. We've been doing a 3-year kind of look at surplus management. But we'll discuss that on the 6th. It's possible that Sarah had maybe dropped a meeting of community committee meeting on the 15th because we have a community budget forum on the 14th. So we have those two forums coming up, the community budget conversations on the 14th at 3:30 and on the 23rd at 6 p.m., both in the Mill River Library. So let's try and get that out to folks, that if they want to talk about important things that will impact the fiscal year 27 budget, those are great places to come in and share.
What time is the finance committee meeting? The
Finance committee meeting on the 6th is at 6 p.m. And then, yeah, the two community meetings, and then we'll probably have another finance meeting on the 27th, but we'll set that meeting, our meeting at the 6th. That's all I've got.
Okay, great. Transact other legal business, I have something. Does anybody else have anything? I just want to talk about our student rep. She was supposed to, we had said she would come the second meeting. Since our next meeting's in Tinmouth, I gave her the option of skipping that meeting. I also gave her the option of switching to the first meeting of the month, because our second meeting of the month is generally when we go to the elementary school, so I thought it'd just be easier to the first meeting. And Lenny put me on to the VSBA student rep 20 or 30 page thing. Description of student rep, how you pick them, how you train them, it was a lot. So I'm going to try and go through it and just pull out a few salient points, just so she has some idea of how to just present information.
In the past, I think I boiled it down to like 2 pages that
Hey, if you have those, send them to me. If not,
I will look, actually.
when I'm done with Ned and that, we'll boil down that. But, so I just want to let the board know she wasn't like skipping out. Okay. Agenda building.
Can I just, in
Oh, yes, sorry.
legal business, it's just a quick thing. Just thinking about looking at the minutes from last time and such, just to shout out to Rebecca for, I mean, just it's a really good way to, how did that conversation go? And she gives us a good narrative. It's not just the bullets there, so.
Yeah, she does a great job.
A note of thanks.
Yay, we'll give you applause. Okay, so it sounds like there's going to be, for those who want to come, a tour. So that's instead of.
It sounds, because you're not having a personnel before it?
No, community engagement would have been, but
there's
it's
not.
canceled.
Oh, okay, so then there is time.
It's kind of like a community engagement.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so, yeah, if you want to get it set up for like 6 or 6:30, just let us know.
Yeah.
And that's October 15th, right?
October 15th. That works great. And then it sounds like there'll be a letter and there'll be some public comment on that. And then, do you know what is on that? Round 2? Through policy, we have certain things we have to cover a certain number of times a year. So Brian left us with a really kind of a schedule, so we just want to make sure we don't miss anything. Like, I think we were supposed to do bylaw review.
1 week, yeah.
And I think we kind of took it off the agenda because we're still here.
Yeah, turned out
It was a busy meeting, good meeting, lots of good conversation though, I gotta say.
I will find it and add it. It's actually easier for me to just go look
Okay,
on
so
my
we'll add one policy required item to this agenda. And then everything else.
And then there will be the presentation, I would imagine, from.
Tinmouth, yeah.
Tinmouth, yep.
From Jen.
Are we on agenda building right now? Okay. So for a future meeting, probably maybe hosted here.
Yeah.
I would really like to hear more about testing data in Mill River. And then, maybe for a future meeting after that, I really want to hear more details on our MTSS model in this building, for sure.
Can I expand that to testing data district-wide? I just don't want to lose.
Well, as I recall, last year, the principals, at least the meetings I was at, talked about testing data in depth, including truancy data and everything else.
Okay.
With some depth when they presented, and we weren't privy to that depth or any testing data until I pressed that at the meeting we had, the last school board meeting. So
Okay.
I would just
Yeah,
kind of narrow that focus to our 712
that makes sense.
model, if I
Yep,
could.
yep,
And
makes sense.
MTSS is usually how you respond to students needing a higher level of intervention, reteaching, who aren't meeting state or district proficiencies. So how do you respond to those student needs
So
in a
we-
structural way?
Our MTSS model is a district-wide model. So I can speak specifically to questions about Mill River, but it is a cohesive district-wide model. We follow the exact same practices everywhere, so I'm not sure if it would make sense to do a specific to Mill River.
Okay, that makes sense then, sure.
Okay, so we'll get that. Cheryl will.
And do you want
And it's
that, like,
class
tied,
size,
those two things
G14.
tied together, or as in, like,
For next
one
one.
week
Okay.
there would be that,
Well,
one week.
So what we missed
I mean, they are
was
they are
progress on goals,
interrelated,
Board
right?
of
So I mean, if your
Education.
testing is not meeting proficiency in large numbers, theoretically, your MTSS model would be the way you respond to that and remediate those deficits. So I'm curious to see a bit more about STAR data as well as, SBAC or any other testing data the district has and how that's being, I want to know more about what's going on
Yeah,
testing-wise.
no, that's great. Okay, and yeah, you're right, we do get some information at the elementary school. So we have Tinmouth, and I think November, we go to Wallingford, and then we wait for something. I forget what the schedule is.
I'd also would like a bit more statistics on truancy. In particular, I'm curious to know if there's data around the meeting days, the half-day meeting days in particular. I spoke to Sarah and Gray a little bit about this, informally, and we were kind of trying to figure out if there's any maybe correlation between the half-days and truancy, multiplied. And I'm just curious to know if there is any.
Okay. I think if you, put all those thoughts maybe and send them to Cheryl, she
Sure.
can, find the people who can come and talk to us about that. Might be Jody.
That would be great.
I don't know. Okay, I think that's great. Okay, we'll put that on a future agenda.
Sure.
Maybe stick it in one of those so we don't lose it. So I think we'll just add class size, which will be at the Tinmouth meeting, because that's one of the things that Cheryl has to report out on. So that should be fairly, I think, quick.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, for the good of the order, I'm going to adjourn.
You've done it.